Hello, 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 everyone. It's a new day. Cardano360 is happening today. New microphone, new me, new big pay. We got so many people here. Over 200 people here just waiting for this to start. I can tell you guys are all as excited as I am about the Cardano360 event today. Dude, I'm so hype. I'm like jittery right now. I'm jittery. It's going to be a fun one. It really is. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be talking about today. But first, I should say hi to everybody. I got little click clacks. So I should also say, what are we going to be doing today? What is a watch party? There's a lot of new people here. As we can tell, there's 200 people here. So what is a watch party? So what I do is I come on for about 30 minutes before the Crowdcast event starts. And then following that, what we do is we watch the Cardano360 event together. And then in the chat, I answer questions. You know, it's pretty fun. You know, there's a lot of complicated stuff in these Cardano360 events that sometimes goes over my head, right? So what I'm going to do is sit in the chat, answer questions, you know, help you guys out with anything that you have trouble with. And then before that, do a little AMA hype session, you know, because I know we're all really, really excited about this event. What do you guys think of the new microphone? You like it? Echo, please fix. It's probably just because I'm in this room, man. I'm going to put some tapestries up and shit to help it out. So I can't fix that. I'll do a little sound check real quick. See if... Yeah, it's just because I'm in the room. I'm sorry about that. But how are you guys all doing today? Augusto, Mr. JT, Thor, Oscar, Evolve, Robin, Motivation Niche. You got a new profile pic, man. I know I've already said that, but it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. Pole Dance, what's up, man? Open Man, let's go, dude. Robin said, how are you doing, Big Pay? I'm doing wonderful. It's the Cardano360 day. We only get these once a month. So they're pretty awesome. They're pretty awesome. So Cardano360 didn't start yet. It starts in about 28 minutes from now. It starts in about 28 minutes from now. So like I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to switch it to where you guys don't have to see my beautiful face anymore. And then we're going to watch it. I'm going to answer questions in chat. And then before that, we're going to do some AMA, some hype. So let's real quick, I'm going to see what's going on today. So this is from Tim Harrison. Shout out to Tim Harrison. He's the one who puts these Cardano360 events together. This one's going to be like 3 hours today. It's going to be really long. So shout out to Tim Harrison. He said, okay, that's a Cardano360 wrap. Touch of titling and tweaking for the morning, but mostly set. Plutus Pioneer Program, Alonzo, which I know we're all excited for. Yella, which Yella is really cool. I can talk about that in a second if you guys don't know what Yella is. Decentralization, hashtag decentralization. It's because Cardano is going to be fully decentralized very, very soon. So we're going to be talking about that today, of course. DevNets. And then one of my favorites, Singularity Net. Hype. Singularity Net. So hype about that. Wolfram update and more incoming. 3.5 hours of goodness. Night, y'all. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for putting this together for us, man. It's pretty awesome. I'm really excited. These Cardano360 events are full of wonderful, wonderful information. My YouTube's messing up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get a quick refresh. But if you guys are here and you want to have a good time, you have to click that damn like button. Very, very simple. You click the like button. There's 300 people here right now and only 100 likes. Can we get those numbers up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Cardano360 today. Let's spread this video, this live stream, this Cardano360 event out to the wider crypto community so they can see what the hell's going on here, man. Because I actually watched one of the Ethereum Foundation events where they talk about what they're doing and what they're building, whereas the Cardano360 events have some production value. They've been putting a lot of effort into these, and they're also having Dave Likes Crypto do a recap. And I'll also be doing my own recap. I always do for these Cardano360 events, and I'll be uploading that tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune into the channel tomorrow for that one. It's going to be a Cardano360 recap where I take the 3.5 hours of content, I watch it probably 2 times, and then I sum it up into about a 20-minute video. So that's going to be my recap, but also Dave Likes Crypto is doing his own recap for the first time, so I'm really excited about that. So make sure you guys check that out too. It's going to be on IOG's main channel. But let's get to the chat. Huge day. What's up, Kaizen? Thanks for coming by today, man. Thanks for coming by. I saw you got the Shure mic too, man. It's funny. We both got it around the same time. Zaza, Mark, Artod Roberts, you made it, man. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. High pay. I'll be stuck here till the end. Me too, man. Me too. Eric, Juan, cool setup there. Congrats. Thanks, man. Thank you. Darren. Darren, so what are you guys most excited for today? Right? So we went over our options. We went over our options of Plutus Pioneer Program, Alonzo, Llvm, Decentralization DevNet, SingularityNet, Wolfram Update, and more incoming. What are you guys most excited for today? I want to see the chat rolling. Hype, 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 hype. New mic setup is fire, bro. Thank you. Obviously, it needs some tweaking, some more editing. I'm also going to get a better amp for it. But this is the start. It's day one. Is the Cardano360 live or is it pre-recorded? They release it as a live stream, but it is pre-recorded for sure, for sure, for sure. I think you need to shut the speaker icon on your desktop to screen the screen where you can hear yourself streaming. Oh no, I just did that for a second. I just wanted to check something. Cardano Club said, you were inspiring me to start my own YouTube channel, man. Cardano got me looking at things differently. It got us all looking at things differently, man. But that's awesome. That's really nice of you to say. And if you want to start a YouTube channel, man, the best thing to do is start that bitch tomorrow. Because YouTube is a very fickle beast. That algorithm, it takes massaging for a good year before it starts to give you a little bit of rewards, man. Start tomorrow, start learning, and you'll be kicking ass here in 6 months, man. German said, hello from the Netherlands. What's up, brother? Hello from Ohio. Cold, dreary Ohio. Alonzo update, please. Yes, that's what I'm looking for, man. I want an Alonzo date. I want something to look forward to. I want to put something on the calendar. You know, smart contracts. Sleevey Nick said, hooty hoo. What's up, brother? One Trippy Planet gave me a $5 super chat for some juice. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I have to order me some juice. Smart contracts, Alonzo. Mohammed said, let's go to $2, bro. Mohammed's looking for some price hype today. Not financial advice in this video. This video is about education. We had our $1 price video. We're back into education now, boys. Mario said, boys and girls. I got to get better about that. I don't want to single the ladies out. I got a couple comments complaining about that last time. Ryan said, hey, your mom got you a plant for the background. I've had a plant. It's just been on the ground. Formula E said, what up, Big Peasy? What's up, brother? Thanks for coming by today. Joel said, has it started? No, we are starting in 23 minutes, everybody. This is just a little AMA, a little bit of a hype session for the Cardano community before we watch the Alonzo 360 event. Hi from Portugal. Hi from Brazil. Hello, man. It's so cool seeing you guys from around the world. Hello from Norway. Hello from, how do I pronounce that? Is it Viqueen? Or no, it's Vinkieven. I know I botched that, but hello from Vinkieven, Holland. Hello, man. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hey, Pay, buddy, how are we feeling today? Dude, we're feeling great. We only get these once a month, so. One Trippy Planet said, yo, who the F is hitting that dislike button? They need to go somewhere else. Man, I saw those dislikes on this video before it even started. So what we have to do, it's very simple. We just drown them out. If you guys like this video, we push it out further and further, and we drown out those dislikes that we had before we even got here. So they don't hurt my feelings. Only the ones after do. I'm just kidding, of course. Can't let the like buttons bother you. Payday incoming. I'm so hyped. Yes, the epoch change is tomorrow, boys. We are getting paid. Looking forward to it. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Yo from Canada. What's up, man? I'm from Africa. That's pretty awesome, man. You got a lot of perspective. Bulgaria. Hell yeah. Hi from Mars. Holy shit. We got Elon in the chat. Ireland, Spain, Switzerland, Cyprus, Guatemala, Chicago, London. God damn. That's crazy. And I've never even left the United States, man. Ben said, hey, Pay, hope I can avail your service in Stakepool as a service. For sure, man. Just go to spaas.info if you're looking to have someone else run your Stakepool for you without you having the technical knowledge. What up, Pay? You eat extra lion's mane in the AMM? I'm pumped for this. Hell yes. All right. We got 400 people here. Don't leave. This is going to be really quick. I'm going to show you guys a lion's mane update. I keep getting asked about it. Dude, they're looking good. They're looking good. Look at this. Sheesh. They're going to focus. Sheesh. Isn't that crazy how big they got in 4 days? Sup, Pay? Alonzo. Hell yeah, man. Netherlands? Pay, can you set us up what you think is going to be released today? What I'm hoping for the most is some dates, brother. Some dates on this Alonzo Hardfork. Bobby Yaga said cocaine. No cocaine, just a lot of espresso, man. I had to be hyped up for this. What is that? Oh, you were talking about the lion's mane. That's lion's mane mushroom, brother. I lost my mic. There we go. We back. Hello from Greece. Today is the 200th anniversary since independence. Hell yeah, man. It's also Cardano360 day. I have to get used to this microphone. I got it on this little swivel. They're looking good, Pay. Hell yeah. They better be looking good, man. I got them in a beautiful humidity chamber, right where they like to be. Espresso, cocaine, tomato. Hell yeah, man. Lion's mane is happy. It's probably got another 5 or 6 days to grow, and those things are going to be huge. Mr. Aqua said, hi, Pay. Where did you buy your lion's mane? I got it from somewhere. If you want the actual answer, I don't want to give it to you guys. Just DM me and I'll tell you. I don't want to give it to everybody. But Bloom tokens. I also got a super chat. I didn't miss that, did I? Oh, I did that. Chicago, yo, thank you so much, Ira Bliss, for the super chat, man. Chicago. Hell yeah. So, all right, I'm going to show you guys how to actually get some Bloom tokens. It's very simple. In the link down below, there is a Discord server. You join that Discord server. You pull this up right here. You pull the Discord server up. You come in here, and you go to Bloom tokens, and you react with this little confetti symbol right here, and you will be entered into a giveaway to earn Bloom tokens in your Daedalus and your Roy wallet. It's very simple. I do these for all of the live streams that I do. And Bloom tokens will have some use and utility in the future, but these things take time. Native tokens were just added to Cardano last month. So we're working hard on that. But if you guys want if you want early access to these Bloom tokens without delegating to Bloom, you just have to react right here. Very simple. Very simple. Big baller with the new mic. Hell yeah, man. 8 trillionaire, spending like we don't care. I don't know, considering the market cap's not $1 trillion, how are you pulling that one off, man? Paul and Cardano with Paul, what's up, man? Paul, Kaizen, Rand Paul, Anthony. Dude, so many people that I see here all the time, man. I love you guys. So Cardano with Paul, Kaizen, if you're still here. What are you guys most excited for today, man? What are you guys most excited for? Yeah, I actually made it so I can actually yell without killing your guys' ears. Anthony said a chat full of OGs. Hell yeah, man. How do we watch the Cardano360? Great question, Mohammed. You can watch it right here. It's very simple. In I would say about 15 minutes, you'll be able to, what I'll do is I'll switch it like this. I'll have it displayed right here. I'll mute my mic. I'll mute myself out of the way, and I'll be here to answer questions for you so you can watch the Cardano360 event from my channel right now. Not right now, in 17 minutes. Tweet said, we're all here with you, Pay. Hell yeah, man. I'm still waiting. If Cardano with Paul is still here, man, I want to know what you're most excited for. The trading man. The trading man that we all trust. I told you guys I was going to cut my plastic out, man. But so for new people just tuning in, there's 500 people here right now. So what the heck is this? What is this Cardano watch party? You see Cardano smart contracts, Alonzo Hardfork date. What is this? It's very, very simple. And all you have to do is click the like button. I'm just kidding. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing the Cardano360 watch party, and it starts in 16 minutes. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sitting in the chat. We got a lot of OGs in the chat. We got a lot of people that know a lot of answers to questions that you may have during this live stream. So we're all going to be in the chat, helping each other out, learning. Today is a day of education, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3.5 hours of Cardano content. We get this once a month. So what this is going to be is a Cardano watch party. So stay, enjoy, learn, educate, click the like button, ask questions. Life's good, ladies and gentlemen. Urban said, staking with Bloom since first epoch. Hell yeah, man. Even gave you the little... I guess I got to get in the camera. Yeah, I want the Alonzo date, man. I'll put it in all my videos. I'll put it right here. I don't know. I want something. What's up, MPP? T-minus 15 minutes. Hell yeah, man. Beyond said, I honestly think the Africa deal will be finalized and announced. Hot take, Beyond. Hot take. I would love to see it, man. Robin said, Pay, how do I send you an email for help? I'm not really good with all this stuff. I'm trying. Your mama here? Question mark. My mom's not here today, brother. You guys love my mom, man. It's pretty funny. Frankie said, let's go. Dude, let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking go. PJ said, let's get educated, then let's go. Exactly. Going to watch Gordon, Ryan, and Rocka tonight. What's that? I don't know what that is. It's very simple. All you have to do is press the like button. Hell yeah. Why isn't it Cardano 369? It's a good question. Law, you got a like for that one. Hell yeah. LFG, what's up, everybody? Oh, it's let's fucking go. That's what LFG stands for. Or looking for game, if you're a gamer. I think something big will be announced about the Africa deal, dude. I would love to see that. Charles has been hyping it up. Charles always hypes these up, let's be honest. Secret of Drowning. LFG, let's go, man. Ira Bliss, let's go. R. Todd, everybody loves Pay's mom. Lol, yeah, they do. She's beautiful. I mean, what can we say? Man? We are on fire. Dude, we're going to be on fire here in 14 minutes. 14 minutes. There's 527 people here. If you guys want to keep pushing this out to the wider cryptocurrency community, all you have to do is press that like button. We're at 277 right now. Can we get to 350 after I say these words? Can we? Big Pay, on your Discord, there is yes buttons for the giveaway. Well, what do I have to do? It's very simple what you have to do for the giveaway. What you have to do is you have to join the Discord server. We got the link in the chat. We also have a link in the description down below. Once you're in the Discord server, you come, and this is for Bloom tokens, everybody. Bloom tokens in your Yoroi and your Daedalus wallet. They will be sent to you. There's 5 winners of this giveaway, so you have a high likelihood. There's only 39 people that have entered thus far. So what you do is you come in here, you click this little react button, not the yes. You got to click the confetti. You can do the yes. You know, we can put a little Bloom token there, here and there, but the confetti is how you win, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you click that confetti if you're trying to get your hands on some Bloom tokens, of course. Cardano with Paul, we got our answer. Looking forward to that date for smart contracts. A date not too far in the future. Could start the next run. A later date will give us a pullback, but either way, I'm not selling. I like to hear that, man. That's exactly where I'm at. Either way, I'm not selling, but if we have a date, I have something to be damn excited for and to mention in every single one of my videos, you know, so... Because every week I get the question, yo, you get that Alonzo date? You get the Alonzo date, man? We said birds flying high. I'm hoping so, man. MPP said, nice shirt, man. Thank you. $20. It was a steal. Mr. JT said, I'm already pumped up, dude. Me too. I got 3 shots of espresso in me, and I'm hype. I'm sure you can tell. This is going to have something big. I hope so. But either way, we'll at least get some education. Secret said, smash that like button. Joel said, Big Pay, are you ADA rich enough that you could retire by now and be financially independent for the rest of your life if you wanted? No, man. I'm young as hell. Hell no. But I mean, I am, like, I make these videos for a living, so in a way I am financially independent, but it's not like I can, you know what I mean, stop working. I'm going to be working until the day I die. I like chickens. They fly also. What are you talking about? I keep hearing chickens. Yeah, I do have 2 ADA, and I'm really hoping, I can't even make the joke anymore. I used to make the joke and say, you know, I have 2 ADA. I'm really hoping that we go to $200. You know, I can get 400 cash out, but that's a meme. You know, the market cap would be way too high at $200. So please do not invest thinking you're going to make that money. Not financial advice. Randcorp said, always working. The day we stop learning is the day we die. Exactly, man. You ever meet people that have stopped learning? You ever meet people like that? They're dead. They're dead inside. 1 million ADA. We all want 1 million ADA, brother. That's the goal. Can someone explain the difference between earning interest at 5.25% on Voyager versus staking? This is a great question, Seren. I appreciate this so much. Also, damn, ladies and gentlemen, there's 650 people here. Smash that like button if you are enjoying this so far. What we're doing today is a Cardano watch party. And this, I think, is the big one. It's the Alonzo Hardfork Day. We are making history because when we have this date, we have something to look forward to, and I'm going to remember this day forever when the Alonzo Hardfork date was announced. So we are making history today. So what we're going to be doing today, I know I have to keep repeating this, but there's so many new people coming in that I have to. So what we're doing is we're doing a watch party, and what a watch party is we sit back and I answer questions in the chat, and other people in the chat answer questions as well. And we help everyone educate because we're going to be going over a lot of complicated Cardano topics that will make you learn more about cryptocurrency, that will make you get some passion for Cardano like we all have. And what I do is I shut the hell up, I get my face off the screen just like this, and I mute my mic. And then in the chat, we help each other out. We have a good time. We have what we call a watch party, ladies and gentlemen. So if you like that, click the damn like button. Very simple. Yuri, you always ask this. Is it true that Charles has a child with an African woman in Africa? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know Charles's life. Luminous says, my PayPay is huge. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's Cardano360 day. How could it not be? Send it, pay. Hell yeah. Eric said, I'm buying ADA at 80 cents. Dude, get some arbitrage off that, brother. Hey. What's up, Don Cardano? Happy to have you back. Smiv, you got a check mark. You're a baller, bro. Evening. Good evening. When is the Lion's Mane coming out? It's already came out, Disco. It's looking pretty crazy. I'll leave this up, so all you'll have to do is come back and rewatch the beginning part, and then you'll be able to see the Lion's Mane. Is this a Cardano channel? Yes, it is. Click the subscribe button, brother, if it's your first time being here. We do Cardano AMAs. Every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we release news videos, recaps, everything Cardano. We don't do anything else. So if that's what you're looking for, click that subscribe button. The funnest thing I do, or the most entertaining thing I do, is the Monday AMAs at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. What happens is you guys come with great questions. You make the show great with your great questions, and we spread education and hype. Dave said, if you already clicked the like button, don't get excited and click it again. He's right. Did I answer that good question? I think I said it was a good question, then I didn't answer it. Let me scroll back up to it. I think it was specifically about... Okay, yes. So, Sarin, I said it was a good question, but I didn't answer it. I'm too hype. We only have 7 minutes until the Cardano360 event. So, I'll answer this question. I'll answer a few more questions. And remember, today's about education, ladies and gentlemen. So, okay. His question was from Sarin. This is a great question. Can someone explain the difference between earning interest at 5.25% on Voyager versus staking in a pool on Yoroi? Wouldn't you be earning basically the same amount? Which is better? The better one, Sarin, very easy answer, is your own wallet. And it's for one reason, because Voyager is a company and they hold all of your funds, but they're not FDIC insured like the bank. So if Voyager was to go bankrupt, if they were to get hacked, if they were to have legal issues, you're screwed. They can take your funds and they're not responsible for it. Whereas the ADA in your wallet is your responsibility and it's your ADA and no one can touch it. Whereas you're earning the same interest rate from staking to a pool, you're helping decentralization, and you're not worried about losing your funds, right? When it comes to earning interest on money, you need to earn more to accept more risk, right? When you put your cryptocurrency on some sort of exchange to earn, you better be earning a lot more than you could from holding it yourself, because you're having this increased risk from doing so. And if you can earn 5.25% for delegating to a pool like Bloom, then I would do that, man. Obviously, that's a biased opinion, but I'm not going to be able to steal your funds and no one else will be able to either. So great question, Seren. But without an increased yield, right, like double, triple, screw that, man. Go stake to a pool, brother. Great question, though, man. Great question. Love from Indonesia. Hell yeah, man. What are we expecting in the 360? A lot of great things. What I'm looking forward to most is Alonzo talk and Singularity Net talk. What if the bird is the chicken tendy? Chicken tendies on the blockchain. Thanks for hosting. No problem, man. Thank you guys all for being here. Do you know how awesome it is to do a live stream with all of these wonderful people in the community that I love? And celebrating Cardano360 all together, man. There's 730 people here, so don't thank me, thank you, man. Don't thank me, thank you. What do you think of Binance at 7.8% staking? It's exactly what I just said, man. There's obviously more risk there, but you can do that, man. At least you're getting paid more, a little bit more with Binance than you would from staking, because you are inheriting that risk, of course. So we got 5 minutes until the Cardano360 event. Let's get some good questions in. We'll get another good question in, and then we'll start the watch party. Yeah, he's right. There's 740 people here and only 364 likes. Do you guys hate this shit? Is it Cardano360 day? What the hell is going on? Click that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We need to educate the wider Cardano, not the wider Cardano, the wider cryptocurrency community on what the hell we're doing here. We have 3.5 hours of educational content that people in the wider crypto community don't even know anything about. Do they know that Cardano does so much? Be blonde. You're getting banned, bro. You're getting banned. Come on, man. You can't do that. You can't do that, bro. You're not that important. You're not that important, man. So, okay, what was I saying? Okay, yes, liking this video to push this education content out to the wider cryptocurrency community, because we on Twitter a lot lately, we've been seeing people, mainly Ethereum maxis, saying, oh, Cardano sucks. It's a ghost chain. It doesn't do anything. It's just been a bunch of papers. It's been this and this and this. And it's because they have never seen the Cardano360 events. They don't watch these monthly recaps where we get hours upon hours upon hours of everything that's going on in the Cardano community. And honestly, it makes me mad. So let's try to fix that by clicking the like button. Have you looked into the OMI token? I have not. Will the staking rewards increase with fees from smart contracts? Yes, as long as they don't decrease from the rewards reserves before they increase from the smart contracts fees. Great question. Do you guys think this is even going to boost the price? I don't know, man, but Chim May, not financial advice, but we're here today for education, for spreading the value of Cardano, right? So we're not too worried about the price today, man. All the great things that are happening over time, I think, will increase the price, not financial advice, but that's not what we're worried about today. We are learning today, ladies and gentlemen. Like and subscribe. Just found you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Please do not spam the chat with your questions. I will get to them, but if you spam the chat, I will never get to them. You will just be banned. It's very sad, very unfortunate, but there are already too many people here, too many awesome people for you to spam the chat and remove their questions. Do you think that Vitalik's latest article about legitimacy was a jab at Cardano? I haven't seen it, man. Send me that on the Discord. I'll check it out. Big Pay, first of all, I'm all in on Cardano, but I bought 3 collectibles today. That's cool, man. I like the NFT stuff. I'm not educated enough to give you my thoughts, but also make sure you're not, not financial advice, man, but make sure you're not more invested than you're willing to lose. The all-in scenario scares me. It makes me think of people taking mortgages on their house when I see that. So I hope it dumps so I can load up. The issue with that, Josh, is everyone hopes it dumps so we can all load up. Daniel A. said, hey, Big Pay, what is up, man? What is up? We're about 2 minutes away. Let me pull this up in the background so we don't miss this, so I can hear it going. Let me make sure we got the desktop audio on too. Okay, you don't want that. That's for damn sure. Okay, desktop audio on. Let me in. Let me in. It's not letting me in. 1 minute till the Cardano360 event. We're about to start the watch party, ladies and gentlemen. So what you have to do to be a part of the watch party is just ask questions in chat. We are about to tune off of here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pulling up the actual Cardano360 event where we can learn about the Alonzo Hardfork, we can learn about SingularityNet, and we can learn about the future of ADA. And then if you have any questions about what the hell they're talking about, we will all be here in the chat to help you. So let's have a good time today, ladies and gentlemen. But all you have to do also before I get off here is click that like button. We're at 449. Can we get to 600 before we start the watch party? All right. I'm loading. Starting soon. Damn, that's loud. It's...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the March edition of. We're on Crowdcast, we're on YouTube, we're also on SoundCloud and Spotify. So please subscribe and hit those likes. This is going to be another bumper edition of the show. Lots of content coming up, but don't worry, there'll be full bookmarks throughout the show, and we'll also put links in so you can go straight to your favorite bits after the event. But if you're watching live, welcome. And with no further ado, Aparna, what have we got coming up today?
Well, Tim, this is, like you said, a bumper edition again, and the focus is going to be mainly around Alonzo, which is the Plutus Hardfork Combinator event. But we do have content around decentralization and also the community. But first, I do want to highlight that this month was Women's History Month. So, I found out recently that this became a proclamation, a presidential proclamation in the United States by Jimmy Carter back in 1980. It was the week of March 8th. And his proclamation was around that women were the unsung heroes building America up from the pioneers and the early settlers and all of that, which is it's a wonderful story. Now, when I look at it, it's really women worldwide, right, that have been in positions where they've been unsung heroes in many, many stories. And it kind of brings it back home when you think of women in technology and even more so women in blockchain itself. So we at Cardano love the fact that our project kind of makes subtle nods to this. Our principal currency is named after an early 19th century female mathematician, Ada Lovelace, as many of you know, as the daughter of Lord Byron, but she also could be credited for the world's first computer program. We also have Hardfork Combinator events that we name after women like Mary and Allegra. So I'm very proud of the fact that we here at IO empower women both internally in the project as well as externally in the Cardano ecosystem. And with that, Charles sat down with our very own Dr. M to speak about her experiences, and we're going to run that clip in a second. And Maki also interviewed K-Block's Stakepool operator Shweta Chauhan, which we'll run right after.
Joined today with one of my favorite people, Mihaela.
So my name is Mihaela Ulieru, which is very Romanian. So I was born in Romania, and I lived in a totally different system than it is today in Romania, and as well here in the US, obviously, for many years. And this has shaped, first of all, my drive for the work which I'm doing here. And
so how old were you when you were doing this Italian mathematical physics?
It was already in third grade, so I was 9. Yes.
You had to take 3 buses to get to school by yourself.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, that's why I'm so independent. I do not know. I think you know me. Yes, so I made it to Washington, D.C. I mean, come on. But the teachers were so dedicated. I ended up at a high school of math physics, but I was known as a poet. My math teacher was changed, and the new teacher came to class, and I was in the first row there, looking at everyone and learning. And he brought a book by Leibniz. Leibniz wrote a motto in that book, and he was talking about one of his former students who became a poet and gave up mathematics. And Leibniz said, "Oh, of course. He didn't have enough imagination for mathematics." And my math teacher, looked me in the eye when he read that quote. And I'm like, what do you mean? Poetry needs more imagination than mathematics. And then he said, see me after class if you want to understand me. And he explained to me that you can prove theorems in many, many ways, and that you really need a lot of imagination. I discovered the Eureka phenomenon, when you really can prove a theorem, and it's the beauty of it.
Hi everyone, I'm Maki. I am a product marketing manager at IOHK, and I've been working with Cardano for about 3 years now. I'm really excited to join this month's show, and so to kickstart it, we're going to celebrate Women's History Month. So that's this month of March, which was all about highlighting the contributions of women throughout history, but also in today's world with science, culture, society, everything. And so for us, this is actually something we feel especially close to, given that Cardano's currency is named after Ada Lovelace, who is the world's first computer programmer. and also because we have a ton of amazing women in our own community that we want to celebrate. And this actually includes our Stakepool operator community. So we thought we could hear from one of them. And so let's welcome Shweta Chauhan from KBlocks.
Thank you for having me on the show. It is literally an honor to be a part of Cardano360 this month.
Firstly, I just want to congratulate you because you were actually recently featured in a Forbes article in a highlight piece on 30 inspirational women. So it's really exciting to hear that one of our own community members is getting such commendable recognition, and for the work that you actually do in the Cardano project, no less. So that's really great to hear. Let's start off by having you share a little bit about yourself.
I come from a small town called Jhansi. I'm an engineering graduate and had started my career with Accenture in India. 3 years ago, I moved to Copenhagen for work, and currently I'm working as a tech lead while working on a Stakepool called KBlocks. Then this Forbes article, it did come as a huge surprise to me, and I can't thank Forbes enough for the recognition. Apart from being happy, I do feel very proud that reputed media companies like Forbes have started paying attention to blockchain technology, especially Cardano. So it clearly means that Cardano is about to become a household name. I would also like to thank my amazing 566 delegators of KBlocks who have believed in this cause and have stood by it. It wouldn't have been possible without their support.
And for those of you who don't know, KBlocks is actually the first female-operated stake pool on the Shelly mainnet, but it's not the only one. So Shweta, can you maybe talk to us about some of the other stake pools out there?
Sure, we have Maria from Card. She's the first female Cardano ambassador and she's working on Lovelace Academy. Then we have Amanda from Deadpool. She's operating Ada Angel's show on YouTube and bridging the gap between normal and crypto community. Then we have our amazing April from Zoe Pool. She's the first female operator to set up her pool in Africa. So huge applause to her. Then we have Alexandra from Seaflow, Jamie from 21 Ada, Margie from Toro, Virginia from XYZ, Caroline from Husky, then Vivi from Vivi, Natasha from Dubai, Patricia from Ira and Nova Pool, and last but not the least, we have Yufu from China Pool. She is helping the Chinese community with the translation. So very proud of all the amazing women out there.
And you actually do a little more than running a stake pool, right?
Yeah. So we recently got an honor to get funded by Catalyst Fund too. We have our Lovelace Academy. It is an educational platform which is focused on attracting and inspiring developers to build on Cardano. And we have 3 pillars in Lovelace Academy. Our first pillar is Keith, who is an amazingly brilliant developer and is a tech lead in ASOS. His dedication is shown by the fact that he's about to go full-time in Lovelace Academy. So super excited about that.
Cool.
And he's also operating SafeStack, which is a stake pool in Cardano. And I'm literally honored to be working along with him and learning day by day. Then we have Maria from Cards. She is the passionate driving force behind Lovelace Academy. And just want to give a shout out to Priyank, Dr. Lars and Sebastian, because they have been helping us non-stop with content creation for Lovelace Academy. So you will be seeing a lot of good videos in the coming days.
It sounds like you're pretty active in the Cardano ecosystem. I think, at least I'm interested to know, and I'm sure the community would be too, but how did you actually get involved with Cardano, or sort of what drew you in?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So actually it started at work. I overheard 2 of my colleagues talking about Cardano, and they refer to Cardano as Google of blockchain. So that caught my attention, and I couldn't wait to research all about it when I got back home. Then I stumbled about Charles's famous whiteboard video. And after that, there is no going back.
Yeah, I just want to jump back to sort of the theme of the month. So it'd be interesting to hear what your thoughts on why there are so few women in the blockchain and crypto space, and sort of importantly, how or what can we do to actually close that gender gap in this industry?
Yeah, another good question. So I think the issue arises from the fact that STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, it already has very low representation of women. So that put women on back foot when blockchain was introduced more than a decade ago. But that being said, we should have more approachable and relatable female icons in the industry. So we see these days a lot of women have started to join blockchain. And I can say from my personal experience that so many females and even males have reached out to me asking about blockchain and Stakepool because they feel comfortable asking such questions to someone who is relatable and approachable. So if women will see similar women achieving milestones, then they will get inspired and then they think that, okay, if she can do it, then I can do it too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about creating that welcoming environment. At our company, at IHK, we're already seeing more and more women join, not just the departments that you would traditionally see women, but we have developers and engineers joining, and even my own team of product marketing, it's consistent of only women. So it's really great to see more engagement. Yeah,
that's really exciting.
Yeah. And for all the women in the community, do you have any final words to share?
This space is so technologically oriented, and we have such brilliant minds that people feel scared and intimidated to ask basic questions. So especially for women, I would say that just speak up your mind. Don't be hesitant to whatever ideas you have, just share it across. There is literally no such thing as stupid questions. And feel free to join our Ladies of Cardano Telegram group. You can find it as @ Cardano Women. So we have all the amazing ladies that we just talked about in that group. So feel free to ask anything over there. It's a very safe place for women to ask questions, and see you there.
Yeah, that's a really nice point. I think, it's important to remember this industry itself is so nascent and new. So I think everyone actually has all the same questions, and we're just sometimes too scared to ask. So that's really good piece of advice. And we will drop the link to the Ladies of Cardano Telegram group below, so be sure to join. So yeah, that concludes our little chat. I want to thank you, Shweta, for joining Cardano360 this month, and we look forward to seeing more of everything coming out of Lovelace, and good luck with your Stakepool. Yeah, thanks.
So coming up later in the show, we'll have a full update on the Pluto rollout and some Alonzo details as well. So make sure you stick around for that. But before we get into that, let's talk about development of a different sort. Let's start with the community and all the work that's going on there. And then we'll have an update on some of the work we've been doing with runtime verification on Llvm and the KVM.
Hi, everyone. It's me again, Mackie, and I'm here with Ben, our community manager, who is doing a lot of work the past few months, as you can tell, because our community for Cardano is quite large. It's segmented in many ways. It's spread across the globe. But so in today's show, we're going to actually just give an update from two of our specific community groups, which would be our developers and our Stakepool operators. So Ben, can you tell us a little bit about these two communities and what the community of practice is?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Mackie. We're two groups, developers and Stakepool operators. What they have in common is they're both practitioners. So we're thinking of these as communities of practice, and that contrasts against, say, wallet users or fans of Cardano who believe in the vision, where that might be a community of interest. So what we're focused on at the moment is putting the process and structures in place for the community of practice, because that's ultimately what's going to biddle Cardano.
Okay, and what can these developers actually build right now? Like, what are some of the tools we're offering them?
At the moment, we've launched the developer community in Slack, and we're running weekly calls. We've got Glow, which is a language run by Mutual Knowledge Systems, and we've run some Q&As and 2 workshops. So one was demonstrating the CLI, and the other was the upcoming user interface. We've also got native tokens, and we've run several community calls on that and a workshop on how to mint native tokens. And if you join the Developer Digest, you'll get an automated welcome email, and you'll be able to go through announcements and actually look at those recordings.
Okay, cool. And how big is our developer community now? Because I think you shared some figures with us, and it's been growing significantly the last few weeks.
It's been growing, yeah, much more than I predicted. So we've gone from 0, so mid-December, we had some really intimate, friendly, Christmassy type community calls, and under 3 months later, we've had over 1,500 developers have expressed an interest, and with over 600 developers in Slack, and all of the calls are really well attended. There's lots of questions, and I've just got off of one actually before joining you here. We had some really lovely feedback as well.
I just want to say, like, I've looked at other pathways, and I've been actually working on my business for 10 years in the local community off and on. And this is one of the coolest, best communities that I've actually seen for almost like a small incubator accelerator program. So I think you guys are doing a great job, and I really loved watching the community grow and govern themselves, and it seems like it's going very well. So
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're actually putting some numbers behind figuring out how happy this community is, right? So can you just quickly explain the Net Promoter Score for anyone who doesn't know it, and how you're tracking it with our communities?
Yeah, there's like a lot of teams in IO, and we have to be able to report to them. So we've been developing a universal metric. So, you know, when I'm like reporting to you, Mackie, and you're having a look at what's going across, I want to be able to give you an above the line metric that makes sense for whatever community we're working with. So above the line means if you got a report, you don't have to scroll, right, to see what's below it. So Net Promoter Score is a way of measuring how satisfied people are with the community. We ask them whether they'd recommend the experience to their peers. So that, you know, you could use a Net Promoter Score to look at sort of, you know, how the culture was within an organization, and you can do it with communities too. So I'll just talk you through it quickly. 1 to 5 would be a negative. 6 to 8 is a neutral, and 8 and above is positive, and that's how we're going to score it.
Yeah.
So,
and how are the developers looking today?
7.9. So not
just
not
under.
Quite just under, yeah, exactly.
Almost at 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've touched on native tokens and Glow, but we also have the KVM, right? With the developers. So what's the latest on that project?
Yeah, so we do have some issues with KVM, and this is you know, an early test environment, so I was expecting issues. That can still be frustrating for people though, which I fully understand. We've identified and fixed issues with the Hello World contract, and we respun the network. So what I'm hoping is this is going to address the issues people have encountered. We're going to continue to monitor it. And I think the other thing that I possibly would mention is that the current KVM is built on older tech, so it doesn't yet offer the compatibility that like the more recent version of Ethereum would. But it's early days, so I hope that, you know, being part of such a, you know, getting early access and being part of the community now kind of is a good trade-off, because it's a really exciting place to be.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds good. And now switching gears, you also help manage our Stakepool operator community, right?
Stakepool operators are the best operators, yeah.
And so that community has, have we seen growth there? Or what are some of the figures behind that community?
Yeah, we've seen real growth, and I think the thing to understand is before we started building this out, there wasn't one place for Stakepool operators to come to get a quick pulse of what was going on, and we're trying to provide that. So when I first joined, we talked to Stakepool operators about observation and orientation. That's my job, to help them observe and orientate, and then it's for them to worry about decisions and actions, and that's an OODA loop. And so I've been focusing on that. That's actually how I try and work within the team as well. I help other people observe and orientate. The average network promoter score is 6.9 for the Stakepool operators, so it's a little bit lower than the developers. We're working on that, and there are some issues and concerns that Stakepool operators have about, you know, when the parameters is going to change, and that's understandable, because a Stakepool operator has to deal with a certain amount of uncertainty, and so that's what they're looking for. They're looking to get certainty and predictability so they can build a business around it. You know what else is cool? We've set up read-only announcement channels for developers and for Stakepool operators too. So the Stakepool operator's got 481 subscribers in there. So if you're too busy to read emails, then you can at least subscribe to that and get your updates there too.
Okay, so we'll drop the link to that Telegram group in the link below. So obviously, our delegation strategy is a big thing that impacts Stakepool operators. So do you have an update on that?
Yeah, so I think I'd probably say, you know, first of all, we delegated to 100 pools, and initial results are that the pools that we delegated to were elected as slot leaders 40% more often on average, and the election growth rate increased by 60%. So what that appears to look like is that not only did the pools get a boost directly, but it seems like the boost increases their visibility too. And in terms of the next round of delegation, what we want to do to improve the experience is create a persistent process so that people can apply and have to keep reapplying each time. And we also want to publish the questions in advance in PDF. I heard that really loud and clear. You know, people wanted to see the questions before they started the process of submitting their application, which is, you know, understandable.
Yeah. Okay. And it's nice that you're sort of giving them an opportunity to raise these issues, and we can iterate on it and make the process better for everyone. So it seems like we're moving towards a cleaned up process there.
Yeah, from day one, my Twitter DMs have been open at any time. Telegram is open at any time for SPOs or developers. So there is always a place they can go and ask a question if they're facing a challenge or they need to know something and they don't want to say it publicly, you know?
Yeah, that's good to hear. So we'll also probably share that Twitter link in the link below. And then just to close things off, I think you have a few shout outs that you wanted to share about our community.
Yeah, Tommy at CF, the Cardano Foundation, is working on Stack Exchange. I think the progress there is 64%. So, you know, you have to reach a certain level of activity. It's not just the case of someone just, you know, jumping in and subscribing. You know, you need to have some kind of reputation within Stack Exchange. But if we can get people to support that, that would be great. And then the second thing is I'm working with Neve on this open source list for Essential Cardano. So we've seen some sort of maps showing the ecosystem being shared. A way of really improving those would be to have a source of truth. And so we want to create this kind of open source list, literally index everything in that and have the community collaborate. So if you're interested in helping us do that, and I'm talking to anybody, you know, hit me up on Twitter and, you know, we can all work on that together. And if you want to have committed to potentially, you know, an IHK repo at some point as something to point to, then this is a way that you could do that, you know?
Yeah, that sounds really cool. So it sounds like there's a lot going on with the communities and you're working quite hard.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's exciting to see, and it's going to be great to see what else comes out of all of this. So thanks for joining us, Ben.
Now, just kind of broadening it out a little bit to the more strategic context, perhaps let's dig a little bit into runtime verification and our partnership there. Perhaps you can just expand a little bit on that from a strategic point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I caught up with Grigori, who's the CEO of Runtime Verification, and it takes this concept of interoperability, that is what the DevNets program is about, into a much broader sense. So we started the DevNets program to be able to provide developers another angle for being able to come onto our chain. Developers that are in the blockchain space, that are working with smart contract languages other than our native one, which is yet to come out, and getting them ready for how to onboard them onto Cardano. Now, runtime verification is looking at a roadmap around Yeli, the K-semantics framework, and LLVM languages, and you'll see this in a second, but they're looking at the concept of universality. So now we're taking on the ocean, islands, and ponds view that Charles actually has mentioned in the past, and we're going to run that clip here in a second. But that view of the ecosystem, where we're looking at developers outside of the blockchain space and how do we onboard them onto decentralized applications, which is a wonderful strategy. So let's take a look at that clip first.
In 2017, we started a relationship with a firm called Runtime Verification. And the reason we did this is for twofold. One, Grigori, the founder of that firm, who's a professor at at University of Illinois, worked for NASA, worked for DARPA. He's a legendary guy. He created something called the K framework. And this is basically like a meta language. So what K is all about is this idea that you can write the semantics, basically how a programming language works and interprets the world around it in a meta language, and then suddenly you can start comparing and contrasting and building tools amongst all of these things. Basically say, okay, build us a path so that one day in a 3 to 5 year time horizon, we can write the semantics of all of these different languages and platforms, and through the magic of something called semantics-based compilation, eventually it just works. You add the semantics, the case semantics to our blockchain, they compile, they run on Llvm, this beautiful bespoke framework built on older ideas that are 17 years old, very well understood in the academic community, highly optimized. And basically we can cover all the developers. So we said, go play with that. They spent 2 years working on it. We pulled back a little bit because we wanted to focus in on getting Shelley out and these other things. But then we brought them back in. And we said, okay, let's get a DevNet running.
All right, so having seen that from Charles, let's take a look at what Grigori has to say about the concept of universality. All right, so welcoming Grigori Roshu, our CEO of Runtime Verification, a valued partner of Input Output, back onto this month's show. Grigori, how have you been?
Hi, how are you? Well, busy, as you know, busy. Everything needs to move fast these days. Languages, audits, everything. So busy. Other than that, good. How about you?
That's good to hear. It's the same, right? This industry is moving at the speed of light, which makes it so exciting. But absolutely, it's already, can you believe it? It's already end of March. And I just don't know where the time flew. So I'm sure you're on the same timetable.
Yeah. Well, we measure by semesters. Now it's the spring semester here. I'm a professor as well. So there are a few more weeks, and then there'll be the summer, which means more work. All right.
All right, well, let's get into some of that work. So we introduced you onto the show a couple of months ago. You're partnering on some other technology that we're working on, but also bringing you onto the Cardano ecosystem through the DevNets program around the theme of interoperability. And we are looking at something a little larger than just interoperability with other chains when we think about the partnership we have with you. We're looking at something called universality of the developer ecosystem. Can you speak a little bit to that and how runtime verification and our partnership is going to be pivotal in this?
So if I go back to 2017, when we started collaborating, I think one of the theses, the themes of our collaboration was universality from the very beginning. Charles Hoskinson was a big believer in the K framework that we developed, whose point was precisely this universality, where programming languages, as big as they may seem, in fact, they are pretty small pieces in the big scheme of things, where a programming language is just something in which you write your programs. And then the K framework allows you to develop all the tools, the tool ecosystem that you need for that language, almost automatically and correct by construction. And this is our story. This is what we've done for the last 20 years or so, the K framework and all the tools around it. And Charles Hoskinson said, I remember back in 2017, he said, hey, you can apply all this to blockchain. Let's collaborate. And then since then, we had a very fruitful collaboration. And again, the main theme was how to plug and play your programming language, more or less. So for smart contracts in particular, how can we write smart contracts in any programming language? The same way we can write programs and verify programs in any programming language once we have them defined or formalized or implemented in the K framework. We collaborated mainly on two big themes. One was the K framework itself, how to make it work, how to make it better, more general, more powerful, faster, work with the blockchain. And another one was how can we design a new language, basically, for the blockchain? A language that can provide the support for all this universality that we talk about long term. And that's how we came up with the Llvm, I-E-L-E, low-level language, which was inspired from the LLVM language, but to make it work with the blockchain and with K at the same time. So we just hope that now we are going to put all this together and have a universal framework for programming languages on the blockchain. The idea would be that developers are able to write smart contracts in the programming languages they are already familiar with. So if you're a developer who already knows C or C++, then you can just move all your knowledge and put it to work right away on the blockchain by writing smart contracts. That's the vision of what we want to do next.
So it is a pretty groundbreaking value proposition, right? The whole universality, being able to bring developers into your ecosystem without them having to necessarily learn something that's very proprietary to a blockchain or a programming language in the blockchain itself. So speaking of that technology roadmap that you're working on, give us some background into this LLVM and also the K framework and how that's going to impact Llvm going forward.
K and LLVM are pretty related. When I joined the Department of Computer Science at University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign back in 2003, they already proposed LLVM. So LLVM was a creation of our department. My colleague Vikram Adve and his research group proposed LLVM. And I was fascinated by this idea that you can take any programming language and translate it to LLVM. And then from LLVM, you can go to any backend, any hardware, any embedded platform, anything. And I wanted to do the same, but at a higher level, where you define the programming language itself, not by a translation, but directly into a framework. And then from that to go to LLVM. So to put something in between LLVM and the programming language. And that's how we came up with the K framework. So the K framework and LLVM are very related to each other. The K framework is higher level, more mathematical. LLVM is lower level, but both of them try to push the envelope. The K framework tries to go as close as possible to the language, while LLVM tries to go as close as possible to the computing infrastructure, the hardware, but without compromising anything. So that's at a very high level, K and LLVM. And now we have an LLVM backend for K, meaning that anything defined in K can be translated to LLVM, correct by construction, automatically. In particular, any programming language for which you have a K definition, you can now get an LLVM implementation of the language right away. And in particular, Llvm itself was implemented that way. So Llvm was defined or implemented. we keep saying defined and implemented because in a mathematical framework, there is no distinction between the two. When you have mathematics, as rigor behind everything you do, implementations equal definitions. So Llvm was defined in K and then translated automatically to LLVM. And that's how we got an implementation of Llvm, which is correct by construction. It's really the best way you can implement a programming language. Right, so to get to your question, how LLVM works and also how K works, you can think of a picture where you have in the middle the LLVM, let's say. So for now, let's talk about LLVM. And for any programming language, let's say C, C++, other languages, you can translate to LLVM. So LLVM is a representation of your program in a lower level language that is ready to translate now to any platform, like x86 or PowerPC or R, and anything, any embedded platform, you can go from LLVM to that embedded platform. Actually, embedded or microcontroller developers, they provide sometimes LLVM modules to allow people to write programs in any programming language that then compiles to their chip, basically. So we want to do the same with Llvm. So basically, we would like Llvm to be a backend to LLVM, meaning that anything that translates to LLVM can then be translated to Llvm. In particular, anything that is defined in K translates to LLVM and then automatically to Llvm. But not only through K, you don't have to go through K. You can take an off-the-shelf. Actually, you said that one of the benefits here is that we bring the developer community, the languages they are familiar with, right, to write smart contracts in them. But there is another big advantage, that we can reuse the entire amount of amazing work that has been done in the world of programming languages and compilers. We don't have to reinvent this. We don't have to re-implement this. Like take Solidity. In Solidity, we as a community re-implemented lots of existing compiler techniques for another language with bugs and everything that a new implementation comes with. Now you make it, instead of doing that, you take the already existing implementations of C, C++, which are compilers from these languages to LLVM. with all the optimizations and the entire thing. You don't even have to touch it. You put it in a box and say, thank you, this is great work. We are going to use it as is. And then take that and plug it into the picture that I'm talking about here, where now we can take the LLVM, the resulting LLVM code produced by the existing compilers and translate that to Llvm directly. And this way, you get basically a compiler from any programming language for which there are existing LLVM compilers, and there are lots and lots of them now, and you then go to Llvm from there. So any programming language can be used to write smart contracts that eventually can get executed in Llvm. And K allows you to make this even better in the sense that the programming language itself now is implemented in K, and K gives you already an implementation of that language into Llvm. So in case there exists no implementation of a language or no compiler going through Llvm, we can get one by defining the language in K as well. So it's the maximum you can hope for, from a universal framework.
I see. So let's pull this up a little bit to the 30,000 level foot view. So basically, I'm a smart contract developer, or I'm a developer in general, and I want to get involved in smart contracts. So by using this sort of compiler, Llvm, as well as the LLVM and the K frameworks that are all kind of in these tools, I can write in any language. So if I wanted to write in Solidity, if I wanted to write in Plutus, or if I wanted to write in something that I'm familiar with, I could do that, and still the output of that could run on any particular blockchain.
That has Llvm.
That has Llvm. That has
yes.
the...
Yeah, so any Llvm-powered blockchain. So yes, that is the vision. And you don't even need to worry about K itself. So these are two separate problems. So suppose that you take a language which already has an LLVM-based compiler, let's say C. I'm not praising C, by the way. I think C has lots of problems as a programming language, but that's not the point here. We want to allow people to use whatever languages they want, good or bad. Right, so let's take C. For C, there are compilers to LLVM, the Clang compiler, which are very optimized by a large body of developers. And these compilers already exist. You don't have to re-implement them. Right? So going from C to LLVM is well understood. Everybody who writes C programs knows about that. And now what we come up with is the new piece is this translator from LLVM to Llvm that we provide. And the developer doesn't even need to be aware of it in theory. In practice, we can discuss limitations. But in theory, the developer just uses the normal pipeline, compilation pipeline they are used to. I'm going to compile my C program to LLVM and then to machine code or low-level code with a backend. In this case, Llvm. So all that happens automatically under the hood. So the developer experience is, the learning curve, unless they want to use libraries, which is another discussion that we have to have, the experience, the learning curve is pretty much zero. There isn't much else to learn. It's just the language that you already know. Of course, to make all this practical, we need to provide library support, right? That developers can use to access accounts, to make transfers, and so on. There is a bit of learning that will be needed, but that's unavoidable. You have to learn that anyway in Solidity and other languages.
That's absolutely right. That's fascinating. So let's bring this back down to Cardano, just one more step down. So we are doing this DevNets program together, but in your roadmap, how do you foresee this rolling out with Cardano?
Our main objective is to get a first implementation of the Llvm backend for LLVM in about 6 months. And this first implementation will essentially be a translator from LLVM to Llvm without any library support. I keep talking about library support because that's going to be an important issue. Many developers use languages for their library support, like C, C++, Rust. Many people would not even use these languages if they didn't have an amazing, really powerful library support. The problem with libraries is that you need to sometimes implement corresponding runtime support in your backend, and that can be arbitrarily complex. So that's why we hope that in 6 months we are going to have a first version without any library support. So there will be some limitations, like developers will not be able to use the full power of float numbers or other things that are not even that common on the blockchain. But they'll be able to write very basic programs, smart contracts using conventional languages in 6 months. What we really hope that will happen here is that once developers realize that this is possible, that they can write smart contracts in their favorite programming languages, they will jump in and try to help. That's what happened with LLVM. LLVM was an academic project initially. Now it's being used in Apple and many big companies. Why? Because once they proved that this is possible, that it is possible to have a common infrastructure, common language for all the compiled languages, then developers and industry partners started to provide support. They added libraries, they added additional features to the language. So this is also what we hope to happen here. Once we show that it is possible to write smart contracts in conventional programming languages, developers will provide their favorite or implementations of their favorite libraries, and the ecosystem will develop based on that. Because you cannot hope that one group or one company, even IOG, as big as it is and powerful, can provide all the library support for everything that people might ever want. What we need is to provide an open infrastructure where people can add their own favorite libraries. So yes, so that's the plan. In 6 months, we want to have a proof of concept that allows us to write simple smart contracts, but in any programming language that compiles through LLVM. And then from there, we hope to get community engagement and decide together how to move. Or even decide together whether this is a good idea to be able to write smart contracts in any programming language. I firmly believe it. I love it. I like it. But who knows? Maybe developers will not like it. Maybe developers will converge on a particular language they will like very much. Maybe Pluto's. I don't know. Some language they will say, we want to write this language. So then the effort is not worthwhile. But I don't think so. I think they will like it.
Well, Grigori, that's actually a really interesting point. A lot of times when we put out product development, you're still testing the waters and making sure that it's something that could be adopted and enhanced. But in this case, I'm kind of with you on this. It's definitely a need, right? You're basically, developer ecosystem is so huge. There are a couple of languages that dominate. But how do we get those developers into the blockchain ecosystem? Because blockchain has a certain mysticism around it when it comes to this. I believe doing this universality concept and starting with the LLVM and then going into the case semantics will do what we're expecting it to do.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so as well. Actually, a similar experience, a similar phenomenon happened when C developers moved to embedded systems, right? Because it is one thing to write C programs for desktops and another experience to write C programs for embedded platforms where you have very limited resources, where you don't have any of the libraries you are familiar with. But there, I mean, developers learned how to use it. They learned how to deal with the limitations and how to make it work. And now if you're a C programmer, you can more easily adapt to an embedded system than if you don't know C. So we hope the same thing will happen here. Developers will learn how to deal with the limitations and how to create their libraries that will make their life easier and coding fun.
Wonderful. So we're going to keep tabs on this. It's going to roll out, like Grigori mentioned, in about 6 months. We should hope to have a good proof of concept. And community engagement is something that's key with Cardano. So Grigori, I don't think you're going to have any dearth of hearing from our community developers on moving this forward. So we'll make sure to include the community in this rollout and in this program. But we appreciate your time on the show. Thanks, Grigori, and I'll catch up with you a little later.
Interesting things happening there, but also lots of interesting things happening around Plutus and particularly Alonzo. So let's start digging into that. Now, Aparna, Plutus and Alonzo, really it's multiple strands of activity going on, from commercial to development to learning and education. Perhaps tell us a little bit about how the program is really rolling out.
And you use the right word there, Tim. It's a program. You know, I've said in the past that Goguen, as the utility pillar of Cardano, is really a program. There is not one hard release that says, hey, Goguen is here. It's a series of things that we are consistently doing that get us to the functionality that build upon utility. And so we started out with metadata, like I've said in the past, and then we've gone on to multi-assets, which is native tokens. looking at the ERC20 conversions. We're looking at the side chains, which we just saw Grigori talk about, the universality and interoperability piece. And then Plutus as the native programming language, and even Marlow as a DSL and what we're doing there. Now, Plutus unto itself has a ton of activity, and that is what this show is going to highlight. But it is complicated, but really it's pretty simple. We are getting the product up to a point where we can hard fork it and get it out there. So now the chain has the functionality and the programmability that we've been talking about and we've been working towards these past few years. But at the same time, we're working with partners. We're working with early development partners. We're working on creating the developer ecosystem. We're working on commercial angles, like commercial partnerships on usability and use cases. So there's been just a ton of work around the DApp ecosystem, the developer ecosystem, to get us ready for that Plutus hard fork event, which is Alonzo.
So look, maybe a good place to start is with two of the key architects of Plutus, Michael Peyton-Jones and Manuel Chakravarti. Let's go to that clip now.
So Manuel, Michael, thank you both very much for joining us. Manuel, maybe let's start with you. Plutus, it's been a long time in the creation and we're getting close to deployment now, but perhaps just to start things off, you can tell us a little bit about the context, tell us a little bit about the founding vision and how the journey's been so far.
When we started out on Plutus, our vision was to build a new smart contract platform on the principles of functional programming. Why use functional programming as a starting point? Because Cardano is a research-driven, evidence-based platform, and it's core to the development. And so we need a smart contract platform that is in the same spirit, and where we can use principles from math and research to ensure that we get a safe and secure environment. Functional programming is perfect for that because it's built on a strong mathematical foundation. And whenever safety and security are paramount concerns, it's just the programming paradigm to go for. In particular, it supports what we call formal reasoning, so that we can use mathematical proofs to convince us of the correctness of software code. But it's not just for mathematical reasoning. Also, just as a regular programmer, it's just easier to see how all the moving parts fit together. This is really the modern way of language design. If you look at Apple's new programming language, Swift, or the Kotlin language for Android, or also the Rust language for systems programming, all these programming languages draw from the same sort of principles. And so instead of making a new language based on what I would call the previous generation, like many other platforms, we thought we go with the modern approach based on these latest scientific results. And in concrete terms, this means that on the blockchain, we store our programs in something that's called the lambda calculus, which is a way to represent programs which is nearly 90 years old, and it goes back to early investigations by famous mathematicians into the foundations of mathematics. For development, we use the Haskell programming language, which is probably the most widely used functional programming language. And it comes with exciting new technology, like, for example, property-based testing frameworks, which we are using extensively. But even for non-programmers, there's a great payoff, because we have this concept of domain-specific and embedded domain-specific languages in functional programming, which allow us to create programming languages like the Marlow language for financial contracts, which is actually usable by people who don't have a software engineering background, and where we can enable domain experts, financial people in this case, to develop for the platform. And I think that's very exciting.
I agree, Manuel. It's very exciting stuff. Now, you have in the past given quite a few talks on Plutus and around this, and I've been fortunate to be, to have witnessed a couple of these talks. For the sake of the audience, bringing it back down to Plutus, can you give us a taste of some of the important design elements that make up Plutus?
Important design elements here are, as the starting point, that the ledger architecture for Cardano is based on what we call the UTXO ledger model. This is the model that was introduced and is being battle tested by Bitcoin. And we all know that the security track record of Bitcoin is way better than that of, say, Ethereum. So the decision to go with this kind of ledger structure, which also fits very much into the spirit of functional programming, and also the desire to keep the ledger small. We want to be able to be processing transactions quickly. So it means we need to keep the state stored on the chain as small as possible. So avoid this state growth problem that Ethereum has and with which they are struggling a lot these days. Out of this comes also a concept which we call determinism. What that means is when you create a transaction with the smart contract and you submit it to the network, at that moment, you already know exactly how it's going to execute, how much execution costs you have to pay. And it's not like in Ethereum where you have to guess how much gas you have to add to a transaction, but it's all predetermined. And that also makes it a lot easier to reason about what's actually going to happen when this transaction hits the network. And based on these principles and the UTXO ledger, we have worked on the multi-asset extension to the UTXO model, which is already live since the Merry Hardfork. And this gives us some really new, exciting capabilities, a very lightweight way of designing custom currencies on Cardano, supporting non-fungible tokens, one of the big rages at the moment, and also all kinds of additional token structures, which people haven't even explored yet. Out of this comes also a host of new innovation. To just name two, we are using something called role tokens. It's a sort of non-fungible token, which gives you permission to do particular things with the smart contract in Pluto. And by using tokens for that, we can tokenize our contracts and we can, for example, sell these tokens on an exchange. Then you can trade your right to use a smart contract in a particular way. So we really open up new possibilities. Our chief scientists on this show, I believe, the bubble fees, which will enable people to pay transaction fees in tokens other than ADA, which is a much requested feature, I understand. Another design principle which is really important to Bluetooth is to do as little as possible on-chain. Why? On-chain costs money. All code that's being executed on-chain, you have to pay for in terms of transaction fees, execution costs. And we are seeing currently in Ethereum how that can lead to very expensive infrastructure for DeFi, for example. And secondly, there's a very simple but important design principle whenever you build a system with security in mind. You need to keep the code that's security critical as small as possible. This is what also influences design on secure operating systems based on microkernel architectures, for example. And that's really one of the core tenets in Pluto, to keep as much of
we need to get started is to really understand the difference between what does happen on the chain and what happens off the chain. And one of the things that I think we took as a kind of engineering and product goal is to really consider the through line of building an application that includes, right the way from some hapless user on the computer interacting with this all the way through to the interaction with the blockchain and back out again. That means we need to consider both the parts that run off the chain, so on a user's computer, on a server, potentially in many places, but not on the blockchain, and the small security critical parts that run on the blockchain. That is also the part that requires really being integrated into Cardano proper. So this is the first big block of effort, which is the Plutus core language itself. So Plutus core is, as Manuel said, basically just the Lambda calculus, but it's hopefully a pretty battle-tested, secure, and usable version of the Lambda calculus. And that is what ultimately all the code that's on the blockchain will be written in, and the evaluator for Pluto's core, therefore, is the thing that runs the code. So first of all, that has to be designed, implemented, audited, performance tested, all of that, and ultimately connected up to the ledger itself, so that at the appropriate moment on the blockchain, we can check that the code does what it says it should do. And that is the most important part. And that's also the part where we have to actually fork the chain. This is the Alonzo moment, connecting all that up so that you actually are able to have this security critical code that runs on the blockchain. But that's not enough for users, really, because ultimately nobody really wants to write Lambda calculus by hand. It's great for people to reason about in the abstract, but you don't actually want to write your programs in it. It's like the assembly code of our system. And so that means we need a lot of tooling that lives off the chain in order to enable people to actually write useful applications. And so one part of that is tooling to actually produce these on-chain programs themselves. And we have a compiler for that, which starts from Haskell and produces Pluto's core. And we call this the Plutus TX compiler. But a nice feature of the way we've designed the system, and this was actually one of Manuel's innovations, is that our users are able to write not only the on-chain code in Haskell, but also the off-chain code, and actually bring them together into a unified whole, such that it really does feel like designing a single application, which happens to have components, some of which run on the chain and some of which run off the chain. And this makes it much easier to ensure that everything fits together, rather than having to write things in multiple different languages and have them all talk to each other and all the difficulties that entails. But then we have to answer the question of how do our users actually write applications? It's all very well helping them to produce the programs that go on the chain, but they still need to deal with preparing and submitting transactions, allocating the right funds, getting them from the wallet, dealing with user input, managing changes over time, dealing with rollbacks. There's a lot of complicated questions involved in writing a distributed application beyond the sort of the people might tend to focus on this question of, well, if as long as we can run programs on the blockchain, the rest of it is just programming. But ultimately, we want people to write those programs and we need to help them. And so a lot of what we've been focusing on, particularly my colleague Jan Muller, has been writing libraries and tools to support people writing applications. And this is in a very direct and dog-fooded fashion, because we've more or less been writing what we found we needed to write applications. You know, the best way to discover what sort of tools you need is to actually try and do it and then realize that it's not much fun unless you build out the support for that. And so we're hoping that that will equally be a force multiplier for our users, and to really prove that we are writing not just a bit of infrastructure that's going to be in Cardano and then we just throw it out to the winds. The plan here is to build a development platform for people making applications, and our users are developers, not just abstract people who will somehow solve these problems themselves. We really want to, that's the way we're going to get an ecosystem actually functions.
So Michael, that's a very useful kind of overview of the architecture, I suppose, and a bit of a premiere of some of the usability and the developer tools that you'll be developing and pushing out there. Maybe just let's talk briefly about the process, though, because of course there's a number of steps that you've gone through to come to this point, and there's a number of further steps that you need to get to before the final Alonzo hard fork, which we'll get onto in a minute in terms of the roadmap. Perhaps you can just talk us through a few of the steps that you're going to be needing to be taking.
One thing to be clear is it's been a long road and it's a long sweep, and a lot of the things that we're playing out now are consequences of design decisions and discussions that we had years ago. Today, we are in the middle of implementing in the real Cardano ledger the extensions to the UTXO model that Manuel and others sketched out years ago. And to some degree, this is frustrating. You think, wouldn't it be nice to have done this much faster? But equally, that gave us the time to iron out some of the kinks. We implemented our own simulated version of this technology, which allowed us to prototype things in advance and to get started on the work to actually support application development. It gave us the time to do formal methods work. We published 4-5 papers in that time, some of which including formalizations of entire on-chain systems that implement state machines in Agda and proving that they, satisfy some properties that we care about in terms of actually doing the right thing. We've got someone on the team who's implemented all the meta theory for Pluto's core in Agda, again, also submitted as a peer-reviewed paper a year or so ago. So that sweep has helped us. And also along the way, we've been constantly innovating and splitting off chunks of the work that we want to do, with a great example being the native tokens functionality, which came out of our kind of area of the world. And then we were able to sort of front load that, get that in as a reasonable chunk that's usable in itself. So that's kind of the process. And now we're really in the sort of the tail end of this, where the consequences are playing out. We're actually implementing the changes that we designed and that the Ledger team has incorporated into the new versions of the specification, and where we've worked out the details. And now we just have to implement it. We have to bubble those changes up. We have to make the changes in the downstream pieces of software, and then we have to wire it all up to our software that supports people writing applications. But at this point, a lot of it is playing out the hand, and we more or less know how it's going to go.
Michael, like you said, it is a long road, and what you've described shows the complexity of a project like this. It might, at the end of the day, it might be simple as we're getting the language to be able to support decentralized distributed applications, but there is a lot of work that we have put in as a company, as an organization, and you guys as a team to get us this far. So job well done. We're still getting to the point where we're getting to that hard fork to get us this functionality, so the job's not done completely yet.
Yeah, no congratulations until we actually ship it.
Right? Congratulations to getting to this point. So guys, just on a lighter note, just to end this and wrap this up nicely, Manuel and Michael, why don't you give us one thing that has excited you about this journey so far?
I'm a scientist at heart, and for me, Cardano's focus on science first and building a robust system is super exciting, and day to day to take new scientific insights and translating them into something that in the end is a product we can give to people. For me, that's awesome.
Awesome. Michael?
I think I'm going to end up echoing Manuel with a slightly different slant and say that, it's the innovation. Here we are always breaking new ground. It's both a joy and a pain. You can't just say, we'll just copy what so-and-so did, because it doesn't apply, it doesn't fit, we're doing something different. We have to come up with our own way of doing it. We have to come up with a way of squaring that circle. And when you do come up with a way of squaring the circle, it's a great feeling.
Thank you so much for joining the show this month.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, so that's Manuel and Michael on the more technical and architectural and design elements of Plutus. So moving on into how we bring partners and developers into the Plutus ecosystem. So Tim, you caught up with Lars recently.
Yeah, well, let's start off with developers and members of the community who want to learn Plutus and also help us test the testnet as we go. So I caught up with Lars. Let's go to that clip now.
So Lars, you are Director of Education, responsible for the education mission. Perhaps we could just start off. Tell us a little bit more about that role and some of the achievements of your team over the last couple of years.
I mean, it encompasses all sorts of education, both internal and external. So it's whenever there's need for training, we do it. But of course, our what I call flagship product so far has been the extended Haskell courses, the 10-week full-time Haskell courses in person. And we have done it 4 times now, I believe. So started in Athens, then on Barbados, then Ethiopia, and last year, Mongolia, although last year, due to the pandemic, was only a virtual course. And all of them have been very successful. So from all the courses, we hired some or most of the graduates afterwards. Right now, for the Mongolia course, we just yesterday or Monday, 3 graduates started working for us, and they will concentrate on Plutus and testing Plutus and writing some proof of concepts for Plutus.
So let's talk about that. The Plutus Pioneer Program. Tell us all about that.
The Plutus Pioneer Program is about taking some brave pioneers and training them in Plutus. So explaining the theory behind it. I mean, there's this EUTXO model, which is quite different to other blockchains, in particular to Ethereum. And then, of course, lots of hands-on exercises and practice, like looking at example contracts. Start simple with the playground, trying out simple things and then doing that like properly, writing more complicated contracts, also looking at these native tokens, how you can give proper minting policies to them, and then eventually also talking about practical aspects like deploying Pluto's contracts. And then in the end, by that time, our testnet will most probably be available. So then in the last parts of the course, we can actually really test out things. So we won't only teach the pioneers how to do Plutos, they will in turn help us test the whole system and make it then afterwards more pleasant for everybody else. So it's a give and take with the community.
So this is a sort of a full end-to-end journey. You learn the fundaments of Haskell and Plutus, and you go through, and you end up helping test the network for everybody else. What sort of experience do people need to get involved with this program?
You mentioned Haskell, so we indeed plan to do like a crash course in Haskell in the first 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks of the course. But of course, Haskell is a very large language, so it would help, of course, if people had definitely some programming experience and ideally in a functional language or even some prior experience with Haskell. I mean, we don't expect them to be Haskell experts, and they don't have to be experts in formal methods or whatever. I mean, everything will be explained, but it certainly helps to have at least the right mindset, like interest in like mathematical, technical thinking, logical thinking, and some experience writing programs.
Now, some people have sort of said they feel maybe Haskell and Plutus is just a little bit too difficult, and maybe they don't want to get involved at this stage. But why the choice of Plutus? Why have we chosen that as our primary language?
I mean, it is beautiful, especially the theory behind it is absolutely beautiful, and it's very secure, very elegant. And of course, Haskell, I mean, to introduce a language that's based on Haskell or very similar to Haskell was obvious for us because the node and all the important components of Cardano are also written in Haskell, and we believe that Haskell is a great language and allows it to write very secure software. It's true, of course, that it's maybe not easy to learn. I mean, that's why we take the time now to for example, for this Pioneer program. But I think it's definitely worth it. And it's also true that right now, obviously the tooling is not ideal and there will be some rough edges, but I'm sure that will improve over time, and especially with this Pioneer program, when we have lots of people looking at it and trying it out, that experience will be very valuable to afterwards make it much nicer for everyone. And then, of course, you don't have to use Plutus in order to write smart contracts for Cardano. I mean, we have also the option via sidechain, the EVM or KEVM or Yelle to even do Solidity, or Marlow, which is this specialized smart contract language on top of Plutus that is actually very simple. Glow, which will compile both to the EVM sidechains and to Plutus. So there are lots of options for all types and personalities of developers. But I still think that Plutus, I mean, it's the native Cardano smart token language, so it's definitely worth learning.
Now, part of the course will obviously be sort of creating application builds and proof of concepts. And I believe you've been working behind the scenes to bring us a little bit of a proof of concept today. Perhaps you want to tell us. We've got Vuk who'll demo it in a moment. Perhaps you just want to tee it up and tell us exactly what we're going to be seeing here.
I always believe that you shouldn't be teaching if you don't know what you're talking about. So I always make a point of trying out things myself and learning them myself. So I felt it's important for me to actually know how to write Plutus programs before I teach Plutus. And I've always been interested or fascinated by this idea of decentralized exchanges, like this Uniswap idea to completely permissionless, decentralized liquidity pools where you can swap one token against the other and the price discovery is completely automatic. So I thought it would be a nice proof of concept to implement that or re-implement that in Plutus. And it was actually quite successful. So I mean, like anybody else, I was struggling a bit with the tooling in the beginning, but the Plutus itself, I mean, it's beautifully easy to do something like that. And I managed to replicate all the important parts. I mean, liquidity pools, liquidity tokens, swapping of tokens, creating several pools and so on. I mean, some fancy features are still missing, but that is just a matter of time. And yeah, we managed to get a demo working and even created a nice little UI for it.
After years of work, I'm honored to be able to demo the first app running on Pluto smart contracts. So what I have here is the Pluto application backend that is running for wallets. I'm mainly going to use Wallet 1 to provide liquidity to a liquidity pool, and Wallet 3 to actually use that liquidity to swap one token to another. What we can see here is the 4 wallets that are running. I'm going to focus on wallet 3 because I want to convert ADA to token A. So wallet 3 has 1 million tokens of type A, B, C, and D. And after the demo, what we want to have is we want to see this million tokens increased by the number of tokens that we swap from ADA to that particular token. So if we go to the UI is basically going to call the Pluto's application backend. And since those are running on the same machine right now, the request is going to be very fast. But when we have the Pluto's application backend that is interacting with the node, it's going to be a bit slower because then we need to also wait for the network to get to consensus and for the transaction to actually be propagated. Now, let's swap 100 ADA to AGI. And you can see here that my balance did update. Now, what we want to do is we want to check whether wallet 3 state did change from 1 million token A to 1 million and something token A. So basically, since we did convert like 100, it should be 500 more. So I have some scripts ready that I can use. So the first one that we need to run is get balance, which is basically gonna just get the funds of that particular wallet. It's gonna be stored in memory. And the next thing that we want to do is actually take that state from in memory and write it down to a file. Let's run get balance. So it went through, we got an empty array back. This means that the request was successful. And let's see what the query script does, which basically is just taking the state and it's outputting that into output JSON file. Currently we have no files. We should see like a file called output.json once we execute this command. So let's do that. And we can see output.json, and output.json was generated basically now. So if we go to output.json, we can see that the balance was increased from 1 million to 1,498,000. And we're missing 2 AGI, mainly because there is some slippage involved when using liquidity pools. Now, let's try to convert another 100 ADA. And let's do the same and let's see whether it actually changes. We need to do get balance again, and then we need to actually output that into a file again. Let's see whether the file was changed. Yeah, the file was changed, but now let's see whether the state did change, and as you can see, the state did change again. So yeah, I'm so happy to actually be able to demo this, mainly because this is just the beginning. In fact, some of the logic that was written for this demo was written yesterday, and I spent like most of the night actually trying to get to this. Thanks, and yeah, I hope to see many developers actually interacting with the Pluto's application backend in a similar way and building great apps for the ecosystem. Thanks, bye.
So Lars, pretty exciting stuff, I think, and a taste of things to come, and hopefully a taste of what people can get involved with if they sign up to the Pluto's Pioneers course. So if people do want to join in, what do they have to do?
Well, we have prepared a landing page for everybody that's interested. People that are interested can just go there and tell us a little bit about themselves and their experience and just apply. And then over the next 2 weeks, we will decide who we invite to the course. But everybody, even if they don't really intend or expect to be picked for this Pioneer course, you should definitely have a look at the website and just register yourself and get on our mailing list, because there are lots of interesting updates to come. And so yeah, that's all. You just have to register on the website.
And I think we've got that link coming up now. So Lars, thank you very much indeed. And if you want to join, remember, go and take a look at the website, check it out, give us your name. And hopefully we'll see you on the Pioneer course soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Wow, so that Uniswap clone, Tim, that's something else.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I think it's one of the demonstrations that can be built on Plutus. Lars built that himself, and it's one of the ways in which we want to prove the capabilities of the platform early, all the way from the testnet on. But maybe let's dig a little bit deeper now into the strategic side of things, and particularly the partnerships. So we caught up earlier with Silvu and Gerard, Director of Strategy and Director of Operations respectively, to learn a little bit more about the Plutus Partner Program and how we'll be bringing development shops into the ecosystem.
Partner strategy is actually a key element of our broader strategy, which is the differentiation strategy for Plutus. What we want to achieve is basically to have these professional developers complementing the work that the Pioneers program is going to help us do and achieve, so that we are going to fast track our quality assurance and testing process towards the next Hardfork. Therefore, when we reach that point, we'll be in a much better position to launch the smart contract capability for developers and these partners that we are going to have ready.
So Silvu, when speaking about the objectives a little bit, right? So we're talking about developer acquisition and ecosystem for Plutus. I mean, that's a big part of the utility pillar for Goguen. How do you see a program like this helping or fast tracking into that?
Because they are professional developers, they are going to scrutinize everything that we are going to give them to get their hands on, right? So starting with documentation, tools, and all the support elements that we are going to provide, they are going to be the first to test it and give us feedback, so that we can improve, and we will include that in our internal testing and quality assurance processes. Therefore, having them being part of this in this early stage, it's a way for us to ensure that our quality of build towards the next Hardfork will be at the level that we want.
Let's maybe dig just a little bit deeper into those partnerships and understand, maybe Jer, from you, what are some of the criteria you're looking for in terms of a good partner, and how is it going in terms of progress?
Hi, Tim, and great to be here. I think in terms of the partners that we're looking for, we've been looking at companies who have experience with blockchain consultancy, not necessarily crypto, just distributed computing. We've also looked at consultancy companies that have Haskell experience, Haskell consultancy. It's not just Haskell that we want. We are actually looking for people who have domain knowledge in the space, engineers who are interested and passionate and want to learn about Plutus, and there's a challenge there. But those are the kind of companies we're looking for. We're looking for companies who really want to try something new, try something innovative, try something interesting. Fundamentally, we're backing people who want to be brave about these kind of things and try something new and be ahead of the curve when Plutus comes out. Right now, I'm talking with consultancy companies across Europe, Asia Pacific, and the Americas. So we're looking at a very kind of globally distributed group of organizations. Some of them are entirely new to us. We haven't had relations with them before, but they know about Cardano, and that's been surprising to me. Now, some of the companies we approach know about Cardano, know about Plutus already, and that's been really interesting. All of them are very passionate. They've all got great ideas. We're giving them the ideas of what we want them to work against at the beginning, the kind of use cases, but they're also coming up with new ones. That's been quite interesting, quite a lot of fun. Hi, everybody. Well, further to my previous conversation, I've got Colin here from Obsidian, and Colin is going to be one of the Plutus developer partners who will be working with us. So, Colin, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and Obsidian, please?
Sure, happy to. So we've been a software consultancy since 2014, working primarily with full stack Haskell, and we've worked across a number of industries, right? Finance, logistics, but because of some of the assurances Haskell provides, which we can speak at length about, we fell into a lot of work around big data, machine learning, and increasingly blockchain.
What excites you about working with Plutus? What are you looking forward to trying out with the language?
I would say there are two dimensions here. So one obviously is just the use of Haskell in particular, functional programming more generally excites us. It's what most of our engineers prefer to work in. But it isn't just a favorite language of ours, right? Over the years, especially in some of these more complicated sectors, the need for a balance has arisen between using trusted, well-established, high assurance methods, and just managing the complexity of producing an application, shipping something, right? We do happen to use Haskell, but really we built out a larger process that strikes that balance. And what we love about Cardano as a protocol is just we saw precisely that same tension being negotiated, where we've got proven just high assurance backbone, right? If we talk about stuff like Plutus Core, and then we have innovation, but carefully implemented. And so spiritually, we sort of have a connection with Cardano on that level. And so again, our engineers have been thrilled with the idea of using Plutus because we're writing Haskell code, but it's going to work on chain, right? There's a framework in place here that lets us just explore our ideas about what we want an application, a decentralized application, to do out in the world. When we step into this Cardano world and we start to unpack the extended UTXO model and we discover some of the wonderful determinism imposed there, the concept is natural for us.
We're really looking forward to you and your engineers, using Plutus to try the various use cases that we've identified. I think the oracles, the dexes, the lending and borrowing, so on and so forth. And I'm really looking forward to maybe having your engineers come and join some of the shows in the coming months to explain, how you use Plutus, what you found easy about it, what you found hard about it, and just sharing your experiences with the community. So really looking forward to having you on board, and thank you, Colin.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
So thanks, Anna, for joining. Tell us a bit about your company and why you're excited about the Plutus program.
I'm a part of the Elf Labs team, which is based in Belgrade, and we've been operating for about 3 years now, so on a variety of projects, mostly outsourcing for now. And we worked in the domains of distributed systems, some financial applications, and luckily some of our guys have experience with functional programming, which is a great foundation for learning more about what your organization is working on and potentially exploring different use cases such as oracles, dexes, and lending and borrowing. That being said, we are thrilled to be among the first people to start building Plutus applications on top of Cardano. And also we are very excited to have an opportunity to work on an infrastructural aspect of the network. So hopefully we'll be able to contribute to it running more successfully. And honestly, I hope this will be a successful partnership from now on. But I believe it will be very beneficial for other developers too, who are trying to get more grip on Cardano and different aspects of development on top of that network.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Anna, and looking forward to working with you. I'm joined by Sergey from MetaLamp. So Sergey, thank you for joining the call. Tell us a bit about your company.
We are passionate Haskell developers who extremely adore Haskell functional world with pure abstractions.
And where are you guys based? You're in Russia, yeah?
Yeah, we are Russia, at the heart of Russia, middle of Russia. It's Tomsk, Siberia. So it's almost opposite side of the world.
Beautiful place. Beautiful place. So why are you excited about the Plutus Developer Program?
Yeah, we've heard about it before from one of our potential clients. And of course, we've heard about Cardano, and we knew that it is one of the most fascinating projects written in Haskell ever. So it was interesting for us, and some from our teams have already played with Plutus. We have already experience with various fintech applications and built several applications that work particularly with lenders, loans, ledgers, and so on. So we choose those use cases about this domain because it is interesting for us and we know the domain quite well.
Thanks very much for joining the call today. We're really looking forward to working with you, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you too.
So this is the start of the whole process, and we expect to bring on a number of partners over the coming weeks and months. So we are interested in hearing from any organization. So anyone who's listening to the show here, if they want to get in touch with us, if they're interested in becoming Plutus partners and getting involved in the early stage development, Yeah, we'd be very, very pleased to hear from them.
Okay, so Jer and Silvio kind of gave us a view into the development partnerships early on, development partnerships really into how we're going to be testing and maturing the product around Plutus. Now, Plutus is built on rock solid foundations, as you can tell from the last few interviews that we've had. So taking that forward even a step more into how we can get this adopted at a wide range of DeFi applications and beyond, I caught up with Tom Lindemann from RV to discuss a program called Alpha Frontier. Let's roll that clip. Tom is going to be talking to us a little bit about dApps in general, security, and a new program that they're going to be partnering with the IO team on. So looking forward to that. So Tom, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Aparna. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So Tom, when it comes to your background in security and decentralized applications in general, can you help us understand a little bit more about where the threats lay in the ecosystem?
Yeah, remember that dApps are essentially applications, right? And they're out on the internet. Like any other application, they talk to servers, there's communication in and out of them. So you've got traditional kind of cybersecurity threats that you need to deal with. There's DOS attacks, there's all of that stuff. But then there's also the smart contracts themselves, which are coming up for Cardano in the Goguen phase. And if those have anything wrong with them, like literally, one line of code, these hundreds of millions of dollars that are locked in these contracts can get lost, they can get locked, they can get rerouted, they can get front run. There's like a whole new class of smart contract vulnerabilities that the developers have to watch out for and that the auditors need to be aware of. And so there's a little bit of the cat and mouse of, the auditors have to be better hackers than the hackers in order to find what they think might happen. There's a lot of that. And then we're starting to get into more formal methods so that we can start to mathematically verify some of these things are proven correct. And that's really where I think things are going. The last few years have actually been pretty disastrous for smart contract security.
So Tom, right now, the current value, we were just talking about this before the show, it was like 40-something billion dollars?
It's mostly on Ethereum, and it was $43 billion locked into DeFi contracts. So that's Maker and Aave and Compound and some of those guys. And I think that they are, as they expand and they compete with each other, and as more money starts to come into the ecosystem, they're going to want to expand onto other blockchains as well. And so that's one of the strategies for how we want to work together with Cardano to bring some of these products over as we launch Goguen and beyond.
So RV now, Runtime Verification, which is a team that you're a part of, they're kind of subject matter experts when it comes to this kind of formal verification and methodology. So can you share how you would play in maybe securing that space that you just spoke about?
You can think of it as levels. One of the things I do, I'm the chair of the ETH Trust working group at the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and we're trying to define different levels of security so that you could have sort of a badge or a certification that might show up in MetaMask or Etherscan that gives kind of a visual representation of what kind of security level that smart contract has achieved. And we talk about, was there automated testing? Was there a human audit? Was there properties that got verified? And where Runtime lives, we do that, but also up above that, we do formal modeling where you take all the business logic of a smart contract and translate that essentially into mathematical equations using the K framework. And then up above that is a level where that we call formal code verification. And that's where you're taking that business logic and then proving the equivalence between that code and the compiled code. And we do all of this with the K framework that Grigory Rosu, our CEO, he's the inventor of K. So, Runtime knows a lot about K. We've got a lot of tools. There's a couple of other companies out there that do what we do. We know them. We're friends with them. CertiK is one of them. And so we want to create those certification levels so that people, perhaps before they interact with the smart contract, before they send, not just $1,000, but like a couple $100,000. Like that's where things are going. You want to know how safe and secure and how much due diligence was done for that smart contract. So that's one of the things that we're working on right now.
So it's almost like and forgive me here for this analogy, but like a Twitter check mark or kind of like a reputation scoring system on Yelp or something like that, where once it's certified then or went through certification of some sort, then it's a little more secure.
We get the Michelin stars, on the restaurant.
Right.
And then, that's a good one too, because okay, it's got 2 stars, so okay, it's really good, but I don't know how well they keep their books or their finances, or I don't know anything about their waiters. Like it says a lot, but it doesn't say everything. So you still have to, there's still a long ways to go as far as really understanding ahead of time. You could get all the way into bringing on, Moody's or somebody that really, have a holistic view of the entire company and start to have a score for that. And, there's a lot of air and blue sky ahead where we need to be.
What's exciting about this?
That makes sense. Sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It really does, because if you think about it, it's $40-something billion. That's what's locked in contracts and locked in dApps in general in one space alone. Just imagine where this could go. And for that sort of value, having some sort of a system like this, it makes sense to me. Right, still to be proven, but it makes sense to me.
Things are moving really fast still. All the way, 2017 and the ICO mania and all of that. We're seeing a lot of that right now. These DeFi apps are just launching, and some of them are anonymous, and some of them have been audited, and some of them haven't. And people are rushing in, to try to get that high APY. And there's a lot of scams going on. And you go on Telegram and ask a question, somebody gets right back to you saying, "Hi, I'm the admin. Just let me know what your secret passphrase is and I'll help you out." And I mean, it's really dangerous right now out there. Not just the smart contract security, but security in general, and the human engineering piece of security. We always talk about that, like, hackers waiting outside an office, for 30 days to try to meet the secretary so that they can get the pass. All of that stuff, it's all happening here as well. So better safe than sorry.
Yeah, great time to start what you guys are working on, actually. And I'm going to drop it here, name drop it here. It's Alpha Frontiers, the name of the program that you guys are working with. So can you explain a little bit more about Alpha Frontier? And also, 2-part question, how is this partnership with Input Output and Cardano in general? How is the evolution of Alpha Frontier going to benefit the community and also the adoption of dApps in general?
I'll start kind of at the top and work down, right? So, Charles has recently talked a lot about university relationships and standards and educating developers on how to write smart contracts. And we're going to be involved there, looking over their shoulder, giving them training and guidance and videos of how to kind of this K-powered, secure, dev lifecycle. We want them to start early. And we're also doing the K Framework Foundation that'll have some of that information as well. So you write your dApp, you get some of that stuff ahead of time, you get in, you get it audited, you do some of that formal verification, some certifications, etc. And what we want to do right there is take existing products, existing dApps projects that, maybe they've been doing well on Ethereum. Maybe they're kind of market making dApps that Cardano and IOHK see as kind of integral. Maybe they're gaps, maybe they're just needed early. Maybe it's lending protocol, a DEX, it could be real estate, lots of different verticals. And what we want to do is have a 3-way partnership with Runtime Verification, IOHK, and that product. And so everyone there decides that, yes, we want to run on Cardano, and we want Runtime to take us up a level as far as the security goes. We don't want to just do what we did before. Maybe where we're in a hurry or whatever, but we in 2021 and 2022, we don't have to do the same level of security we did in 2017. It's a rare feat to get a really good security audit. A lot of the firms are really busy, 6 months out to even get a slot, all of that stuff. So, Cardano's going to, add growth. They're going to add these new products that are market makers. They're going to add users, add developers, and raise that security bar. And the product partner is going to get to extend to a new, a new vertical, a new L1 protocol chain, Cardano, and they're going to get a next generation security solution. And then Runtime comes in and sort of glues it all together because we know Cardano, we know the code, and we also know those products. And so we're going to increase our expertise and those partnerships. And every time that we do that business logic translation that I mentioned, that sort of becomes a reusable model or a module, I guess is a better word, where we can then, build up that library of expertise. It's kind of a win-win-win all the way around. And we're going to be doing that this spring with Cardano.
That's awesome to hear, Tom. And outside of just the DeFi apps that we're speaking about, I mean, this program, it sounds to me like could help us with utility and usability and adoption across industries and other verticals as well.
Yeah, it could be some glue that holds things together, like identity or insurance. I do like the real estate one. It could be NFTs. And depending on what the relationships are that IOHK already has with vendors and partners and who they know that's coming down the pipe and what IOHK might want to build themselves, there'll be some gaps and there'll be some opportunities to say, well, why don't we bring in this partner? They're already awesome. They're already proven. I just actually spoke to them the other day because they're my friends or whatever that may be. And let's bring them in. And that funnel into Cardano is just going to get wider and wider and wider. And those projects that come on, remember that those are also like Legos. So they stack on top of each other. You bring in a DEX and you bring in something that does synthetic loans, etc. Well, now you're going to need an oracle and, an oracle for on-chain data, an oracle for off-chain data. Once those oracles exist, then you can do these other things. And it's just this sort of compound effect that we're going to see throughout the summer. It's going to be awesome.
So that's been a pretty sizable download already. A lot of information there around the Plutus Pioneer program, the partnerships that we're forming with development shops, the strategy. We've looked a little bit into certification. And of course, we've heard a lot about the history and the technology that's gone into this build. What about the rollout of Pana? I think a lot of people will be asking the question, when Alonzo? Are we able to give a little bit more information?
It's always a question, right, Tim? And absolutely. So we're going to have a special guest on here in a second. It's going to talk about how all of these things come together in a tidy roadmap view. So let's take a look.
Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. So today we get to talk about some really exciting stuff. The progress of smart contracts on the Cardano network. And boy, that's going to be fun. So first, a little bit of history and why we chose the approach that we chose. And then we're going to get to some dates and some exciting things that are coming. All right. So I've been in the Bitcoin space a very long time. And so long, I actually remember this. This is the value overflow incident. It occurred on August 15th, 2010. It was discovered that block 74638, 74,638, contained a transaction that created billions and billions of Bitcoins. Two addresses received 92.2 billion Bitcoins each, and whoever solved the block got an extra 0.01 BTC that did not exist prior to the transaction. This was possible because the code used for checking transactions before including them in a block didn't account for the case of output so large that they overflowed when summed. Very easy to make bug, very simple bug, and an example of what can go wrong in a scripting system. Bitcoin was never built with formal methods. It was never built with mathematical proofs. And so there's a lot of things that live in the code that we only think are secure or work because lots of different eyeballs and test cases and time has passed and security audits have passed. But there's always these types of things lurking. And the problem is the more expressive the programming language gets, the more things that can go wrong. And so there's many legendary bugs that have occurred in the Ethereum ecosystem. And for a long time, people have been asking questions of how do we get what Ethereum has brought to the field, but also enjoy some of the really cool stuff that came from the UTXO model in Bitcoin and that simplicity of that model. So it's some really cool papers. For example, this is BitML. It came out in 2018, and it's from Massimo Bartoletti and Roberto Zunino. And these two Italians, they got together and they were trying to think a lot about how to model kind of a more expressive and more formally rigorous way of doing transactions and contracts on Bitcoin itself. Now, there was also a parallel effort at Blockstream by a good guy named Russell O'Connor, really, really bright programming language guy. And he created something called Simplicity. And the attempt here, again, was trying to kind of improve the expressiveness of Bitcoin script to a point where it's comparable or at least can do similar things to the Ethereum virtual machine. And he goes on and on and on and on and on in this big paper. Let's see how many pages it is. And there's all the things you would expect, the actual formal semantics inside the paper itself, and they're written in Coq, which is a beautiful language that nobody uses except for domain experts. And so we read these papers and we had a parallel research effort of our own, and it resulted in the production of a foundation, the extended UTXO model. And what really makes this extended UTXO model special is that it takes all the really good stuff that Bitcoin has, but it also takes a lot of the really good stuff that you get in Ethereum land, and it puts them together, and you have a model that's significantly easier to shard and scale, and also to reason about when you're talking about a formal abstraction. If you actually read the BitML paper or Simplicity, you'll see there's a lot of cool things that UTXO gives you from a theoretical and applied sense for writing proofs that are not the case in the accounting world. And by having this beautiful UTXO model and just extending it a little bit, it gives us the ability to have basically what Ethereum brings to the table, but a much better foundation to write smart contracts on and to scale the system. And also this enables great experiences like Hydra and so forth. This is the product of 4 years of research, and it was written by Michael Peyton Jones and Phil Wadler and many others, and just an all-star team of computer scientists who worked really hard. Now, you have to build language on top of that. So here we go. We built Plutus, and you can see 7,580 commits. The last commit was 3 hours ago, 180 branches and many tags, and a gargantuan amount of work has been done with 60 contributors over a 4-year period. And Plutus is basically getting to the point where it's now being systematically integrated into Cardano itself. And let's talk about that. So here is what you all have been waiting for, the money shot. This is a roadmap of the next few months of what we're doing and why we're doing it. So we had to clear Shelley and get ourselves on a new code base. And then we told everybody that Goguen would be a series of HFC events. And the first one was last year. And that HFC event was about bringing metadata and some structural improvements to basically get us set up to then bring in multi-asset, which was Mary in March. And now we are heading towards what's called the Alonzo phase. And so what Alonzo does is it takes this foundation, extended UTXO, which is partially already in the code base, and adds it all in, and then puts this beautiful Plutus platform on top of Cardano. Okay. And here's kind of a timeline of how that works. So first off, it has to be integrated into the ledger and node code. That's the heart of Cardano. Then the wallet sits on top of it, then Daedalus. Okay. So what's occurring right now, all throughout March and all throughout April, is that integration into the node to get a CLI. Now, as that integration is happening, sprint by sprint, partners are being brought in, and these are alpha partners, so they're very close and deep and core to the company. There's about 12 of them in our constellation, and they're running lots of acceptance criteria and tests and other things. Okay. Then after that happens, we'll be able to, at the end of April, early May, to launch an Alonzo testnet, which means for the first time ever publicly,
people will be able to write smart contracts and deploy them on Cardano, Plutus smart contracts, and use the Plutus platform. Now, this is a iterative process, and it's one where the experience improves step by step, week by week. And what we're doing is we've been focused a lot on bringing 2 large cohorts of people to stress test this network when we turn it on. So the first cohort are professional development firms, and we went to more than 10, and it looks like we're going to pick the top 5, and you'll be meeting some of those partners today. I think they may have already presented. And those partners are basically going to write a collection of test contracts and test scenarios and go and try to build some stuff like NFT marketplaces and take what we wrote with AgeUSD and run it and so forth. So just a huge amount of professional, systematic Plutus stress testing development to verify the resource model, to make sure the tooling is working. And what they're looking for are deficiencies. So in the Plutus application framework, they're going to be looking for, hey, there's some weird messages with the compiler, or the documentation is unclear, and so forth. But really the goal is to co-develop as a red team with the Plutus team and act as a group of critics to ensure that the overall product is improved. The second group are the Plutus pioneers. And you'll see right here the Plutus Pioneer testnet. And basically the pioneers, what they're trying to accommodate is writing actual Plutus applications that will be put into production for dApps and DeFi. We have already received interest from 1,300 people who are developers who want to be part of a Pioneer testnet. And what we're doing is we're trying to winnow that set down a little bit. And Lars is going to be running, and I believe he's already presented on that, a special class for the Pioneers testnet. And basically the idea there is that when that testnet turns on, a large group of people who have been taught how to write Plutus code for the first time can actually go and hit deploy contracts and try to break it, just like those development partners are. Now, while this is occurring, there's going to be many integrations of the Plutus framework, the application framework, into the ledger, the node, and the wallet backend. And then there'll be, in the end of May, entering into June, a huge surge of QA and user acceptance testing and so forth. Now, the goal here is to make sure that we basically get a lot of these integration issues out, because Plutus was built by an independent team in parallel to the Shelley team. And now that that's being pulled in, there's going to be some rough edges in that integration. And we don't want things like the value overflow. So how you prevent that is through things like property-based testing and quick check and these types of things, where you can actually get proofs that that kind of stuff just can't happen. Okay, so that's exactly what's going to be occurring in May and June. There's external testing from this wave of stress testing pioneers who are building interesting, cool, exciting things, and this stress testing from this wave of professional companies who are development firms all across the globe, 24/7, who are building things and beating up the network and having lots of fun with it. And the goal is that this entire process will conclude and we will be feature frozen around the end of June. Now, if that occurs, what we will do is wait 4 weeks minimum for our partners, the Coinbases, the Binances, Yoroi, all these other people who have infrastructure that needs to upgrade, test, and modernize for Alonzo before we do the Alonzo hard fork. That said, the code that you write for the testnet will be usable day one on the mainnet. Okay, so this is our preliminary view. We've had 3 separate teams of delivery people and the engineers look at these dates and look at our delivery train, look at the burn down charts, the story points, the sprint velocity, what bugbears we've come up with. So we feel fairly confident with these things. And we believe that the big surge of people hitting the network will provide a very good stress test for what we feel similar to what the the Pioneers Stakepool testnet did for us back in May and June of last year when we were in the build up to Shelley. And we also, through partners, are spinning up a dedicated QA team. So in addition to having Haskell developers doing the feature and integration train, we're also going to have specialized Haskell developers who come in at a great cost to me, but that's okay, And their job is to do nothing but fix bugs or clean up some of those rough edges as the feature team keeps moving forward. So we're going to be working in parallel to make sure that bugs that are discovered during the Pioneer testnet do not disrupt the delivery of Alonzo as much as humanly possible. Now, we will have a precise date for the Hardfork Combinator event at the end of April, but we feel very confident in this preliminary collection of monthly milestones. And you can kind of see that every month major things are happening. So the node and the full node integration should be done at the end of April. And then we're doing the wallet backend integration, running a Pioneer's testnet. We're doing QA and all this other stuff. And May is probably going to be the roughest month because that's the very beginning of the Pioneers testnet. June will be the cleanup month where we're really starting to get everything where it needs to go. We're kind of tuning things. And if we can keep the velocity we believe we have, we should be able to code freeze, feature freeze at the end of June. And at that point, it's basically working with partners like Coinbase, like Binance, like Bittrex, like the wallet manufacturers and so forth, and the custodians and all these other parties and the stake pool operators and all these other parties to make sure that they upgrade in time. And the minimum amount of time for that is 4 weeks. It can be up to 6 weeks. But if we can get a code freeze at the end of June, which we feel confident with, this would indicate that at the end of July would be the HFC event. And then we have full smart contract support, 1,000+ developers ready to go from the Pioneers program, a big wave of development firms that are doing that. And at the same time, the commercial team and the ERC20 conversion team, probably in the June timeframe, will begin the commercial activity of porting things that are already in the queue and pipeline onto the network. Now, huge amount to do, lots to think about. This is a very aggressive schedule, and we've massively scaled up resources to ensure this delivery. Basically, we're merging two big things together. If you look at the code base for Plutus, it's a humongous body of work, and there's a lot of theory here, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and this is going to be the first cryptocurrency that uses the extended UTXO model that was developed by Chakravarty and Wadler and the others. Okay, so we're kind of trailblazing in a certain respect. And this is a very new model for developing applications. That said, there was a relatively similar model with Ergo and their Sigma protocols and their version of extended UTXO. And so we actually took the time to write applications like a stablecoin and other such things in that world to kind of get a good sense of what the overall application writing experience is going to look like. So this is the nuts and bolts, soup to nuts of the process. At the end of April, we'll have specific dates for when that HFC is going to occur. Tentatively, we feel it's sometime in July, late July to early August, if there's a 4-week burn-in for partners, and that assumes a code freeze at the end of June. We should have really good data. If, for example, if we can get that full integration done at the end of April and we're still on this roadmap, what we thought was true with projections is true. And so that date is probably very likely. I think there's a greater than 70%, 80% chance, just based on historical data we've looked at from the last 6 sprints and how things are coming together. A lot of the Plutus infrastructure is already very well tested on their side. It's just the integration of these two things. And there's a lot of little things that are going to happen during that integration. And as always, there's API changes. As always, there's format changes. As always, there's bugbears and other such things. And integration is very difficult when you take independent systems and you pull them together. So we can't give you 100% certainty, but this is very similar to what occurred with the Byron reboot in the Shelley. And the fact that we have such an aggressive testing program, which I think is probably the best in the history of the industry, gives me a lot of confidence that we're going to get there quickly. Part of the scoping is also documentation improvement. And I believe Jim Caldwell is talking about mastering Cardano. That textbook, we're also working on Plutus tutorials and so forth. The point of the Plutus Pioneers program is to train a large cohort of people. In addition to training them, we're also going to be listening. And the end goal is to make sure that we have extensive documentation for how to build canonical applications and design patterns, how to use all the interfaces, how to use everything in the standard development kit and so forth. That will continue beyond May and June. We'll keep working on it. And in July, August, September, the coming months, we'll keep adding. So launch is not the end. It's just the beginning in a certain respect, because this is where the rubber meets the roads, and there's going to be a huge amount of stress and demand on all of our people in Plutus land. Now, we're also working at making sure there's going to be a Cardano stack exchange available by the launch date of Cardano for Plutus. And the goal there is, if you're a developer, you have somewhere you can go to ask questions. And what I will do is make sure that some of the Plutus team allocates some of their time, as well as Lars and others on our side, to answering questions that people ask on the Stack Exchange, because we know that's a vital resource for developers. And for a lot of launch applications, we will be doing some co-sourcing. So if we don't directly assist, some of those 5 firms that we bring in who are just testing things, we're going to roll their contracts over to community support contracts. So they're around to help you guys co-develop, help you guys answer questions, help you guys solve problems, perhaps even do pull request review, and so forth. So the next few months are going to be some of the busiest, perhaps the busiest in the history of Cardano, because we're, for the first time, executing on every dimension. On the Voltaire side, a lot of new funding is coming, now 2 million, and a lot will be allocated to dApps. And for the first time, these guys are going to get a lot of money to be able to go and do some damage. The commercial division is going to be converting people over, and we're going to be working with partners like SingularityNet and Liquidity and so forth. The engineers are overloaded. External firms are coming in to assist the engineers to make sure the QA burden's there. The education team will be doing the largest class we've ever done, and a huge amount of people are coming in for that. And then, of course, we have lots of things going on in our infrastructure and ecosystem. So all of those people will be talking to exchanges on a regular basis, wallets on a regular basis, and so forth, to pull all these things together. It is going to be fun. And that's why I'm wearing a poncho. We're not going to sleep much. That couch behind me is going to be pretty warm, because I'll be sleeping on it well more than 1 or 2 nights. But we'll get it done one way or another. And if we have to work hard, we have to work weekends. That's what we're here for. So I hope that meets your expectations, everybody. The age of Plutus is almost upon us. Welcome to the Goguen era. Alonzo is almost here. Code freeze, feature freeze, ideally at the end of June. 4 to 6 weeks to get the partners upgraded in. If Coinbase calls me, says they want an extra week or 2, we'll probably say, okay. These are the kinds of partners you got to keep happy. So as we get closer to that, we'll have more precise dates. And at the end of April, we'll announce the HFC tentative date. And make sure we start aligning everybody in that direction. If you want to be a Plutus pioneer, sign up for it. The information was in the show about it. If you are a development company and you want to start writing Plutus smart contracts, please do reach out to us and call us. We have already 5, as I mentioned, that are coming in, but I'd love to see that cohort grow. And that's Plutus. That's Alonzo. It's 6 years in the making. Great history. 2010 with the value overflow incident told us all we should take it seriously. A lot of people have been thinking about it, and we've been thinking about it too. And now it's finally time to see one of the most elegant and beautiful programming models in the history of our industry wake up and do something really cool. This is frankly how Bitcoin should have done smart contracts. And I think if Satoshi was a PL expert, probably would have done it in the beginning. But that's the benefit of hindsight and time, is that you can make things better, improve things. And as I mentioned, this is just a beginning. So after Plutus hits market, there's still lots of work we're going to be doing, improving the application framework, the standard libraries, the documentation, and also iterating the overall model of Plutus. So version 2, we're already in discussions about what that would look like. This programmability, once it comes out, will enable the Plutus ecosystem to bring DeFi, the Plutus ecosystem to bring really beautiful tokens, all kinds of cool things to Cardano. So if you like Uniswap, you like MakerDAO, you like all this stuff that's come with Ethereum, this is basically what's going to open up that possibility and bring it to our chain. It's really the last mile, and what puts everything together. Moving beyond this, then it's all about finishing up the Ouroboros agenda. So we're getting to Genesis. Moving beyond this, it's all about finishing up the governance components. And so completing Catalyst and completing the on-chain update system and then fully turning over all those mechanics to a community governance system. And then we're in the Cardano 2025 age, and we have so many cool things like Omega and cool things like light clients and so forth. We call that the Mithril Initiative to bring to market, and we can't wait to get there. But this is the big one. This is the one that I've personally been waiting for more than anything else. I mean, Shelley was exciting, and it's nice to beat Ethereum to the proof of stake market. We're the most decentralized cryptocurrency in the world now. But this right here is the smart contracts done right, and what we should have done with Ethereum and what Bitcoin should have done. And putting our money where our mouth is, we spent 4 years thinking about it, probably well over $10 million in research and development to build this component. And now we finally get to bring it into market. And I cannot wait to see what so many of you community members who've been waiting for so long build. And I cannot wait to build some things myself. As many of you know, I'm a game developer in addition to a cryptocurrency developer, and I'm probably going to do a Crypto Bison play as a play on CryptoKitties, because I actually own Bison. I have a herd of 400 of them. So it would be really cool to see what happens there. And it'd be really cool to see what we as a company can bring, everything from NFT marketplaces to cool partnerships with companies like Wolfram and perhaps Oracles and so forth. And this is the point of Alonzo, is to enable those capabilities. And very rapidly, there's a beautiful team that's very elastic that can scale to meet these demands, that not only can make sure that these things get done, but also make sure that they get done properly, well, in a timely manner. So this is the year of Cardano, the age of Cardano. 2021 is our years, guys. As I said, everything's waking up, everything's turning on, and Cardano's really coming together nicely. Thank you for being part of all of this. And thank you for going on this journey with me. You know, we started it in February of 2015, and it has really been just year after year, a year of grinding, year after year of development. And to see something that started as a dream slowly come together and turn into something like this is extraordinary. And we could not have done it without this amazing community. We could not have done it without all of our partners. We couldn't have done it without these incredible scientists and engineers. And to see all this come like this is it's humbling. So until next time, thank you all for listening to the Cardano360.
So D-Day approaches. D equals 0 when decentralized block production begins in earnest. With that in mind, we wanted to dig a little bit deeper into the decentralization story for Cardano. So we asked Colin to convene a few familiar faces to discuss that in a little bit more detail. Let's go.
I just wanted to come on for a second and ask what you guys think. Alonzo is coming. Cardano is the year, or 2021 is the year of Cardano. I got it backwards. I'm too hype. Are you guys excited? I love that, man. I love it. I love seeing the rollout. I love step by step. I am going to be releasing a video that sums all of this up. It's going to be a 20-minute video tomorrow. Just subscribe to my channel, like this video if you want to watch, turn on notifications, notification bell, all. I'll be releasing a 20-minute video that sums up all of the information that you need to know in this because tomorrow this is a lot of information even for me to take in. So I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to use my notes, make an awesome video, but hell yeah, guys. Hell yeah. Are you guys hype? I'm hype. We're going to get back to it right in 1 second. I just want to see what chat has to say about this. This was amazing. This was amazing, but we're going back. I don't want to ruin the stream for you guys. I'm having fun.
Help be part of making it better.
Awesome. We're really pleased to have you here. Your community proposals have sparked a lot of internal communication and have been really valuable in our own processes. So we really love that feedback that we get from you, and we hope that it really keeps up. Just to jump into some of the topics, Lars, let's talk about the first of these, block production. Okay. Remind us again what's happening and why the D parameter is so important.
To understand the D parameter, we must remember that before the Shelley era, Cardano Classic was a federated system. So there were just 8 nodes that could produce blocks. And then Shelley changed all that and basically handed block production over to the community. But even though we were very careful and thought very hard about how to set the incentives and how to set everything up that will go well. We still wanted to not immediately switch one step from federated to everybody can create blocks. So we decided to introduce this D parameter that allows like a weighted distribution between the federated nodes and full decentralization. So the idea was when Shelley started, it was basically all the federated nodes still. And then we slowly changed this D parameter, and with each change, the proportion of blocks that were produced by the stake pools increased. And when it reaches 0, then that means that it's completely in the hands of the stake pools. So that was just a means to make it smooth so that there won't be any unpleasant surprises. I mean, there were not, but we just wanted to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that if something goes wrong, we can stop the process and fix it before we continue.
It's good to know. And I think that it's a pretty exciting time because this is one of the first major milestones on our march to decentralization. It's only part of the journey, but it's a really important step. And I think this is a huge occasion for us as we're handing over the large part of this just to the community and away from the Shelley Genesis nodes. D is one of the parameters we use in our system. And some of the other key parameters we'll just talk a little bit about. So beyond D that controls block production, we have other parameters such as K, which sets the maximum size of pools and in fact will ultimately determine the number of pools in the community that can be at a fully saturated or the full production size. We have other parameters also. Another important one is called the A naught parameter, which is the additional benefit, which is the money that the SPOs put down, contributes and earns, and also fees. One of the important proposals that we have is from Sean McMurdo, who's joined us today on the pledge benefit. So Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about your thinking when you were proposing the A naught change and some of the motivations for it? It's been very useful internally, and it's the kind of feedback we love because it really gives us a very different viewpoint.
So one of the things that I saw in the beginning of Shelley was that the amount of pledge in the smaller amounts where many of the SPOs would actually be providing, that amount of pledge was not having very much effect on the rewards. And so it didn't seem to me to have a strong enough effect. But because it was linear, it didn't make sense to me to just keep increasing that amount because it would only increase it a little bit for most of the pools while increasing it a lot for the biggest pools. And so it seemed to make something that would be more fair and also strengthen the network against Sybil attacks, that we needed a way to raise the amount of rewards that are generated by the pledges that are reasonable for most SPOs.
It's been a really useful change. I think it also is a very nice way for SPOs to differentiate themselves from other SPOs in the way that adding pledge in the same way is changing fees or perhaps even supporting causes is another way. It also demonstrates a commitment to the system and putting their own money on the line, which is, having some skin in the game is kind of a very important challenge. You've also had a number of other SIPs, if you want to give a shout out to those.
All three of the SIPs that I've put in have been with the idea of decentralization and fairness to providing sort of an equal opportunity for SPOs. The first one was the curve pledge benefit that we're about, and then I also had one on the non-centralizing rankings used in Daedalus. And then I also had one on the minimum fees to adjust the minimum fees from a more fixed to a variable minimum fee. So all those are really designed to create a more fair marketplace for all of the SPOs and hopefully strengthen the network.
Colin, can I say something just briefly about the pledge? I think the proposal that Sean's put forward and the very similar related ideas that Lars and the researchers have been looking at, it's important here to note that this is kind of really following through actually on what the original intention was. I think it's fair to say that we didn't get it quite right the first time around here, because the intention of pledge was there should be an effect of it. We wanted it to be the case that stake pools could distinguish themselves by having a higher pledge, and pledge to be high enough to make Sybil attack protection work properly. So, yeah. And I think it's just fair to say that we didn't get the structure of it quite right the first time round. This is entirely in line with what we had wanted it to be. And so I think, as you said, it's great to have people contributing and looking at this and making these kinds of suggestions, discussion about it as a community, and we figure out ways to make it better and follow through on how we had always intended it to be like. That's my view anyway. I mean, that's a personal view on it.
Exactly.
I think that really shows the strength of the Cardano process, that even though we have these brilliant people at IOG creating the systems, there is this process so that we can improve it, not only internally, but externally. So I think that shows a real strength in the community and the network.
Definitely. And I maybe just want to add that the reason we were very grateful about Sean's suggestion, but we didn't immediately adopt it because we must be very careful with these things because there are lots of objectives. I mean, this reward function that we eventually pick needs to have a lot of properties. For example, as Colin mentioned before, this case, so we don't want the stake pool to become too big. And of course, we also want this effect of pledge, but we must be careful that by, for example, increasing the effect of pledge, we don't destroy the other property that suddenly, under certain conditions, stake pools become too big. So we had to very carefully look at the mathematics again and check what functions for reward functions are actually admissible that give us the right properties, and then pick the best one in this family of possible functions that has the desired effects. It's complicated, but I think it's important that we aren't too hasty, because I mean the security of the system is the most important thing. So,
and Lars, you've spent a long time running lots and lots more simulations, haven't you?
Oh yes.
To see what is the dynamics of trying all these different pledge functions.
There are so many parameters that you can change, so it really takes a long time to get a good understanding, a good grip on what effect changing the function actually has.
And I think it's really important too to note that carefulness is a strength of Cardano, because a lot of people from the community, once they see an idea that they think, okay, that will solve it, they want to implement it immediately. And there's a lot of pressure to move fast. But I think, as we've seen, that carefulness is what is a great strength of the Cardano moving forward.
Absolutely. And, I think that Lars's point raises a really important one. That is that many of these problems are multidimensional. They impact the economics, they impact the security of the system, many different types of different things. And they involve lots of things that forward to these changes coming in. And it's been something we've been working on, and it's taken a long time because we take it very seriously.
The way I summarize that is that, just because it's right in theory doesn't mean it's right in practice, but at least it needs to be right in theory.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Because if it's not right in theory, it's really not going to be right in practice. And doing the theory takes a while. That's just the way it is.
Well, I think even harder than that is there isn't a single right answer.
That is also true.
Yeah. You're balancing different parameters, and over time, your view changes. And some of that is what's happening in the market. Some of that's what's happening with our competitors. Some of that's our own understanding evolving. And so those are all things that make it very difficult upfront to foresee every outcome. So let's talk about the network side, Duncan. Full block decentralization is the first significant milestone. And that kind of begs the question, what comes next? Let's talk about peer-to-peer and how does the network run at the moment, and how will that evolve in the future?
Relays, which is what deadless users and exchanges and other commercial users use to connect to the Cardano network. So that's the federated half of the network. And then there is a genuinely decentralized part of the network, which is the part that's run by the Stakepool operators, because they have direct peering arrangements with each other and scripts that they run. And it's currently, no one would really call it a proper peer-to-peer network because it's not automated, but it is, in some sense, literally peer-to-peer. Everybody with manual configuration has their Stakepool relays connected to each other's Stakepool relays. And IOHK has relays too, but these days they're not actually even, the Stakepool operators can exchange blocks with each other without IOHK being involved. IOHK's relays are at the moment just there to get blocks out to everybody else. So that's the current hybrid situation. Where we're moving to, of course, is fully decentralized, fully peer-to-peer, but it'll be done in a number of steps. So if we're thinking about what is the roadmap of how do we get there from here, the major chunk of it comes with a whole new set of components. And actually, this shows the new components that are going to be deployed. These are the components that make up the peer-to-peer layer. So we're not changing the major parts of the network protocols, how the consensus protocols. It's just about deciding which peers talk to which others. When do they change their minds? And how do we automate selecting of peers? And anyway, I'll get to that. So we will be deploying these bunch of new components. The roadmap for that part, this completing the development of this and rollout of this, is that we'll do, first of all, a completely internal testnet, and that will be happening very shortly. And then we'll do a series of probably invite only, followed by more general public testnets. The people who we expect to be interested in this primarily are going to be Stakepool operators. We don't expect particularly it'll be something particularly exciting for end users, but once we get to the public testnet, of course, anyone can take part. And that will be really about demonstrating the integration of all these components and getting feedback from, particularly from Stakepool operators. During the rollout of those testnets, we will also be doing some incremental feature development of things that were not strictly necessary for the first integration, but are necessary for the full peer-to-peer rollout, particularly things to do with like denial of service robustness and things like that. That will get us to, eventually, a mainnet deployment of the peer-to-peer components. But still, the initial rollout, we're doing this step by step, the initial rollout will only be still with Stakepool operators, and the IOHK relays will still be in place. But we'll now get automation of the peer-to-peer part of the network, the bit between all the Stakepool operators relays. So that'll be the first mainnet deployment of this. Then the rollout to moving to a fully peer-to-peer scheme will be one more feature added into the peer-to-peer layer to do with gossip, which won't be strictly necessary for the first deployment. And then we will do a gradual migration of gradually having deadless users, other users, exchanges, other large-scale users, gradually move from using K's relays to gradually moving over to talking to Stakepool operators relays and to each other. So we do not expect to do that in a big bang. That would be very disruptive. Just like we did with like D going towards 0, we'll do it in a staged and bit-by-bit approach. We don't want to do anything disruptive. It's worth noting one of the features that we also have to complete before we do the final switch over of moving people off of IOHK's relays will be completing Ouroboros Genesis, and that will be going on in parallel. That's what the big picture looks like. If we want to talk a little bit about details, this just gives a flavor of what is the peer-to-peer layer going to be automating that Stakepool operators are currently doing manually. Right now, Stakepool operators have fixed lists of the addresses of each other's relays that they configure their nodes with. It's a completely static configuration. And it'll be moving to this dynamic scheme where what we call the peer-to-peer governor keeps track of what we call cold peers, warm peers, and hot peers. So, and it automatically finds enough of them. It has targets for how many warm and hot peers, and it automatically adjusts as the system changes and as connections come and go, and tries to optimize to create a good peer-to-peer network. Good here means that blocks are able to get across it as quickly as possible, basically. That's the metric we're trying to optimize for. So cold peers are all the peers that your node knows about, that know their IP address or their DNS name. Warm peers are peers where we have established a TCP connection to them, but we're not necessarily running the consensus protocols. And then hot peers are ones where we're actively running the consensus protocols. So to give you a sense of the kind of targets we're expecting here, we're expecting maybe 20 hot peers, whereas I know that some Stakepool operators currently run with configured lists of 50 or more, which won't be necessary. We will only need 20 hot peers. We might have 50 warm peers and maybe 1,000 cold peers. And because the governor is constantly trying to adjust to hit those targets, that's one of the reasons why there's no need to have like 50 configured, because as soon as one goes down, we'll just switch to another warm peer and then promote another peer from cold to warm. And our large-scale network simulations have demonstrated that 20 is entirely adequate for achieving good overall system metrics of fast block propagation. So that's a very, very high-level summary. I don't think we have time to go into more details.
That's great. Thank you very much, Duncan. One last point, the K parameter, which is the parameter that changes the maximum pool size and the number of long-term pools, as mentioned before, will not be changing to 1,000 at this time. That will happen after we make the change to A0. So that will be upcoming later this year. There will be quite a lot of announcement before that, but the K change not happening right now. Any last thoughts from Lars?
I think the most important things I've said that, I mean, I tried to explain that this back and forth between community input, I mean, to get ideas and input from the community, but then also thinking about it carefully, taking all the parties together that, I mean, as you said, business, economic interest, security, and so on, cryptography, mathematics, and try to find a balance between, of course, reacting to requests from the community, but also not blindly doing whenever somebody screams. So, I mean, and I think that's very important, and we try to do that very diligently.
How about you, Sean? You know I was going to put you on
Yeah.
the spot.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm excited to see, the progress towards decentralization in all these different areas and the ever improving nature of Cardano. And I think there's such huge opportunity here, and I'm really excited to be part of that.
Well, thank you for being part of that. It's been very useful. How about you, Duncan? Any last thoughts?
It's nice to see that block production decentralization is done. And now we have a fairly clear plan, at least internally, and we'll be able to communicate more details of it in the future about what's going on with network decentralization. And then, of course, the other big thing coming up was exactly how we're going to decentralize governance. That's a big and hairy topic for that one. Yeah, lots of opinions and lots of ideas floating around, and lots of things coming from Charles has lots of suggestions, and we've got all these experiments going on. That'll become the main focus is how do we do governance decentralization, because other ones are everything is either nearly done or in progress. It's quite exciting.
I agree. I think the governance is going to be fascinating because some of these problems are very tricky, multidimensional problems that take a lot of skill sets, and getting the right people in front of those problems and having the right way to change and update the people looking at them is going to be a very fascinating social experiment. So it's going to be great. And I think having the block decentralization at the end of the month, where we've seen such a huge rise in the price of Cardano, we've seen the Coinbase listing, we've seen adoption in a number of major platforms such as Bloomberg in the financial services. This has been just an amazing month, and I'm so pleased to have been part of this, and I'm so pleased that we have this talented group working on these really challenging problems. So thank you for dialing in, guys.
Okay, so I think it's time for a Project Catalyst update. As usual, we'll be hearing the latest from Door. We'll also be hearing from some of the people who've been funded in Fund 2. So let's roll that clip now.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric Zuleger. I am the Senior Content Editor at IOHK, and I am thrilled to be joined by the man who is leading the way towards on-chain governance with Project Catalyst, Door Garbash. Welcome to Cardano360.
Hello, and hi everybody.
Door, it has been 6 months that Project Catalyst has been in the world. There have been many funds, and we are continuing forward. Can you tell us what's happened in that time and dial down into the numbers for us?
Without even going into the numbers, I just say that I think if the purpose was to catalyze the community, then mission accomplished. I think we're on the verge of a Cambrian explosion of innovation in the community and like a whole new set of functionalities. The idea that people can vote and that people can be advisors and people can be proposers and people can be implementers has proven to be a huge success. Okay, and then you have the numbers that back it up. So first of all, we look at the global participation. Okay, so how diverse is actually the community, and you can see that there's more than 104 countries contributing. Okay, so we are truly decentralized but it's not just about resilience, it's about the types of ideas and the types of proposals that get inputted into the system, are not just from a certain perspective of one culture. It's like a giant boiling soup, okay, of delicious insights and innovations from all over the world. That's extremely exciting. Then you can look about how engagement have grown over time. And you can see that there is like a very, very fascinating growth that's not just in not just like in how many voters we have, and we're going to talk about that, but it's like all these different communication channels and all these people that want to really deeply engage with the system, like following us on Telegram and getting notified on key events, number of people in Discord that are kind of like made the jump to really work seriously in a concentrated way and get community feedback about proposals and catalysts and processes in Catalyst. And then you have the giant growth of the amount of members in ID Scale. Okay, so we're, as of today, we got to 17,000 people that are registered and participating in ID Scale. That's an incredible figure. Then you look at it from economic potential, financial potential perspective, how much funds are actually held in the treasury, and of course the recent rise of the price really made a big difference, and we are almost touching the $500 million in the treasury. So just think about the incredible potential we can unlock. And it's important to say that, let's say like in Fund 1, we didn't manage any funds, that was zero. We've transitioned over time into, now we're launching, next week we're launching Fund 5 that's going to govern $2 million. So basically we've been doubling the amounts of funds being governed, fund after fund, for the past 3 funds. And let's see if we can continue this trend.
So that is an incredible amount of funding, and it's also an incredible amount of projects that have come up through each subsequent funding round. I'm curious, have you seen any sort of main themes that are coming up again and again for projects that are trying to acquire funding?
Let's start with this. I think we're seeing a tremendous activity in the developer tools, like the developer ecosystem. Like, you know, we have so many technically adept people in our community, and also people that have firsthand experience building on top of Cardano and using the ecosystem. And we're seeing, just looking at the community advisor ratings for those type of proposals, they get really, really high scores. We actually had Fund 3, the developer ecosystem proposals, like the top 10%, I think got something around 4.7 out of 5 from our community advisor. So this was the highest rating that was ever given in Catalyst in any category, and it's just happening in the developer tools. So that's like incredible. So one trend is we're seeing the rise of developer ecosystem challenge and high quality proposals there. You can see that the other big challenge, which is about dApp creation, you see, you know, this is like more like the upbeat kind of contemporary, where you have proposals for building DEXs, many proposals for building NFT marketplaces.
Sure.
And a lot of local initiatives that a lot of them actually come from Africa, which is incredible. So this is one trend. Another interesting trend is in Fund 4, you know, we now have 7 challenges. So 7 different big problems to solve. A lot of them are actually about improving the governance process of Catalyst itself. And also there you see just like a tremendous amount of high quality proposals of people starting to build tools to make better decisions, build tools, offer training modules, how to become better proposer, how to better onboard new people in the community. There's so many proposals and things, it's actually almost impossible to track. So this is exactly what we're talking about, this like the feeling of a Cambrian explosion, the feeling that one person can't hold in his head all the innovation that's happening right now. So
am I correct in assuming that, you know, we have not only this explosion of ideas for things like different tokens or dApps that can be created, but actually another sort of meta layer of things that will help developers to build those things or to bring them to market?
Yeah, that's the whole dev ecosystem. So supporting for more coding languages and APIs and bridges and tutorials and learning modules and documentation. there's many proposals on the ballot that talk about these things, like high quality proposals. So that's really incredible.
So speaking of the community helping the community out, we've also heard a little bit about Ada Pulse recently. Can you talk about how they're helping the Catalyst community?
So Ada Pulse just launched a really nice prototype where they show how can be, like, let's say, like an independent media platform for reviewing proposals and taking a closer look at proposals in a way that is a bit more accessible and a bit more user-friendly. And I hope this is just like one pioneer of many of building an entire ecosystem where good proposals are highlighted and communicated to the community, so to keep the voting population informed and make sure that the decisions we make are good decisions.
So this is a whole nother layer where on one hand we might have people sort of be working in the background helping to bring new tools to the forefront, and then on the other hand with something like Ada Pulse, they're actually working as a sort of independent media arm that's helping bring ideas to the forefront.
That's right. This is it's just like people are picking up shovels, and when they see something can be improved, or there's like additional approaches that we can experiment with of how to make this process is as impactful as possible, they just go ahead and do it. And I think that's like, why do we like Ada Pulse? We like them because they didn't just like write about it or talk about what they want to build. They actually build the thing in a tangible way that everybody can see in their own eyes and experience what they're building, and this form of validation of their concept. Okay, this is very similar to what a group of community advisors did with an onboarding page for Catalyst, where they just started and shipped something. Okay, they shipped something that is like an actual web page you can use, you can consume right now, and actually ahead of asking for funding. And that's going to be a huge thing about this community. It's about the ability to validate ideas and push them in a way that other people can really see the potential and interact with them, that is completely different from asking people to just kind of like trust you that you're going to do the right thing. And I think that is much more powerful, and is also will lead to much quicker innovation process. Okay, like a quicker feedback loop that would make all these proposals evolve not just as from concepts, but into things that have a lot of impact and traction in the real world. We really appreciate these pioneers and how they're showing us how these things can be done. That's
great. And we are always looking for new pioneers. I know that for a fact. We want more people to pick up those shovels. So as usual, Dor, how do people get involved with Project Catalyst?
Very first step is you go to cardano.idscale.com. You create an account there. Then you make sure that the emails we give you not go into your spam. And once you get that done, then you're gonna get emails from us and explanations about different things, about like how to be a voter, how to be a proposer, how to be an advisor, how to earn rewards from providing value, and all the key events that happen as we go from fund to fund. Okay, and a secondary thing you can do is you can go to one of our Telegram channels. There's Catalyst Chat and there's Catalyst Announcements. Both of them help you keep tabs about what's going on in these different funds and where are the opportunities and key actions related to them.
Dor, thank you so much for joining us on Cardano360. We are going to finish up our Catalyst section by showing you a little bit of some of the projects that are already in the works, including Ada Pulse. Dor, thanks again for joining us.
But what Ada Pulse is like I said, it's the brainchild of Jeff from Swagpool. It's a new media outlet that's designed to kind of tackle the catalyst proposals and turn them into engaging articles. We really believe that Project Catalyst is the life force of the Cardano ecosystem, hence the name Ada Pulse. So we're trying to bridge the gap between community members and projects and convey them in a way that just makes sense to the average person. So I suppose essentially this project was designed for people like myself. I don't have a huge amount of technical knowledge about Cardano and blockchain and crypto in general, but I am really interested and want to learn more. So it's all about putting the information across in a way that's accessible to the average person. So for instance, you click here and then you've got Jeff's article, the Liquid Protocol article. That really gives you everything you need to know about the project. You can read all the information, what it is, the problems it's going to solve, how much they're looking for in terms of funding, all that kind of thing.
Over the course of the last few weeks, we've really focused on what we need to do now so that we can eventually be sharing what Cardano is with a mainstream audience, with existing institutions, and with local business owners across the globe. So we're focused on developers. Now, I'm including Cardano enthusiasts and community members in this group because all of you know a heck of a lot about what Cardano is, even if you've never written a line of code. And within Gimbal Labs, what we're trying to do is bring together so many different kinds of talented people.
We're not going to have you guys logging in with an email or a username and a password. We're actually going to let you just log in with an address. We want to do that because we want you to have no friction, and we want you to be complete as anonymous as your address is. We want you to be anonymous, so that way anyone with an address can log in. We don't know who you are. We won't know where you are, but you will have kind of an identity associated with you in the system, and so you can chat, and the pool operators can see how much delegation you have, and you're talking to the pool operators, and so on and so forth.
Fun too is it's an open Arduino library to sign the embedded Cardano transactions. That kind of scales a little bit of what we can do. It's not entirely critical for the overall mission, but if we do it, then we can plant a seed so other developers can maybe come behind me, take maybe the embedded payload that we're going to open up soon and kind of maybe do their own stuff with it too. And then as I mentioned, I'm bringing on a new developer for that. We're leveraging existing Rust and C libraries relevant to Cardano to kind of model the serialization. And we're going to try to attempt to support native assets.
So every month we like to bring in the commercial side of the business and introduce the audience to what they are working on. This side of the business really feeds the requirements from the market angle into the product. So a very special relationship between product engineering and commercial. And this month we have Jerry, who's our Chief Commercial Officer, that's going to show you a little bit more about the partner ecosystem that they've been hard at work building. We're also going to have Carlos and Tom from the Professional Services Group. And this team does special integrations. They work with customers directly to find out what systems need to connect to be able to run an application on the network. And they do a great job of bringing us requirements from that angle, which are more bespoke in nature. And we're also going to be giving you an update on partners that we have introduced in the past, Singularity and Wolfram, and what they've been up to in terms of the Cardano ecosystem. So let's take a look.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cardano360. I am Jerry Fragiscatos, Chief Commercial Officer at IOG. During this episode, you will be hearing updates from our partners, from product, and from our colleagues about all of the great things transpiring within the Cardano ecosystem. What I'd like to do right now is take a step back and acknowledge that to create a world-changing ecosystem like Cardano, you need world-class partners. And that's exactly what we've built over the past few years. We've built an ecosystem of partners of over 150 organizations across the globe, built on a bedrock of peer-reviewed science and research, with 3 core organizations shepherding this, which is the Cardano Foundation, IOG, and Emergo, with all the key infrastructure with exchanges, DeFi, and marketplaces to allow the exchange of value, as well as key deployments in enterprise and in government. We've worked with national governments as well as state governments, and more we're looking at the municipal and local level, where a lot of the change actually happens. Secure infrastructure. With the right developer tools, that when smart contracts get deployed later this year, it will set the foundation for massive adoption moving forward. And this is the second point I'd like to get into, commercial momentum. When I started working at IOG in November in 2019, and this was before the Shelley release, we had a few dozen or maybe even a handful of opportunities and demand from the market to use our platform. This has changed significantly. As the release of Shelley showed last year and the introduction of staking and metadata feed with the Mary Hardfork and the introduction to multi-assets, those hundreds are becoming many hundreds. And we suspect if this curve continues that we'll have many thousand opportunities and demand moving forward as we release the product over the next few months. The representation of the demand actually covers the entire globe quite uniformly. We have demand in North America. We have large demand in Africa because we made that a specific focus, Asia Pacific, Europe, and we also have a nice set of deals coming in from a global standpoint. It also covers the gambit of verticals. We have representation in financial services, public sector, government, education, and health, as well as supply chain-oriented opportunities in agriculture, manufacturing, telecom, luxury goods, and retail, among many, many others. The one key thing or the one key change that's happened is in tandem with our industry in general becoming more mainstream. What we're seeing in demand is a lot more of this coming from Fortune 500 companies and from more established players who maybe even a few months ago were unfamiliar with the crypto space. And this is really a game changer. This is setting the foundation for massive adoption. We have line of sight to millions of users to be onboarded on our platform. And over the next few years, we see that easily becoming hundreds of millions of users. And ultimately, our goal is to get to the billions of users over the next few years and really make this a game-changing platform that'll provide economic identity, financial services, and opportunities to the many billions in this world that don't have them today. I'm excited to be part of this journey, and I will continue to update you on commercial progress as the months goes on. It's been a great pleasure of mine, and thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name's Tom Flynn. I'm IOHK's commercial director, and I have here with me today a good friend and colleague, Carlos Vargas Montero, our director of professional services. And the two of us want to tell you a little bit more about IO Global's commercial team today. So many of you have probably seen presentations from other team members like Jerry Fragiscatos, our chief commercial officer, John O'Connor, our director of African operations, and our many strategic partners. But there's a lot of activity going on in the commercial team and in IOHK in general, and lots of interesting stories to tell. So, we're looking forward to having more presentations like this throughout the coming weeks and months to share more about what we're doing. But first, let me introduce my good friend, Carlos. Carlos, in recent weeks, your team's been running a number of workshops to get the word out about a number of capabilities that are available to build on Cardano right now. But your team does many things. Can you say a little bit more about what professional services does for IO Global?
Sure. Thank you very much for the introduction, Tom. So in professional services, what we do, what we excel at is to bridge the gap between a business problem and the blockchain technology. So we engage with different types of customers, and most of them are companies, but we are now also trying to tap or help a little bit the Catalyst community as well, because the Catalyst community comes with problems to the Cardano ecosystem. Sometimes they have a good notion of the business problem, sometimes they don't. And we can help them the same rate that we help other companies to bridge in that gap. It is often the case that companies that have been able to gather customers, that have been able to acquire those customers and define a solution for them, they know and understand that They also have heard about blockchain technologies, but they are having a hard time just finding within the entire industry what to do about that. I mean, does it make sense to embrace them, embrace the technologies significantly in their application or solution? Does it make sense just a part of it? And so on and so forth. So we help companies answer these questions. And once the questions have been answered and they know what to do or what's the best way to follow, we found that answer together, we can help them also build a solution, or we can refer to our partner network to build a solution for them.
That's right. It's all about making cross connections, right? And working together collaboratively so that everybody wins in the end. And we work together quite closely, commercial and PSG, acting as the front office function for IO Global with government, enterprises, our strategic partners, and now the community. So maybe you can say a little bit more about the value that we provide to clients at the beginning of an interaction.
Sure. So we have stumbled upon many different types of clients in many different stages in their development, you know, in maturity as a company and also the development of the solution. In many cases, we start working with the client with a workshop where we go through their business. We try to understand that deeply. So we understand what pieces of the business can be enhanced with what the blockchain technologies offer. It is not, I mean, blockchain technologies are not the solution for everything, but they are very good solving some types of problems. If we can map out with the clients the business model that they have and exactly what the solution is all about, we can help them make the bridge between those two. So we often start with the workshop. After the workshop, we engage into a process that we call solution proposal, solution or product discovery, where we engage with them on designing and architecting the solution. And once that is done, it is a ready project for you to actually engage either with us or with our channel partner network, or even your own technical team in-house with our guidance or help if you required it. So you can actually make that a reality for your clients, your users.
Right, right. And what are some of the strategic partnerships that we've worked on together? You know, there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes in bringing a partner to Cardano. And what are some of the success stories that you like to think about?
As you may have seen, we've gotten more and more active in the announcements and the partners that we bring to the network. And there are several good reasons for it. One of them is that we are now achieving and fulfilling the Cardano's promise this year, right? So we are bringing more and more utility to Cardano. And as we move forward, the partnerships and the complexity of the things being proposed or the excitement around it grows as much as the utility on Cardano grows. We started with simple usage of metadata, right? Back in the day with Llvm. Then we also utilize metadata for traceability solutions with BeefChain. And now we're talking, starting last year, we started talking with SingularityNet on moving an AI marketplace and many other projects that we can do in that space. So it is not, it evolves in the utilization of the platform because they will be minting a native asset, they will be using smart contracts, and they will be using smart contracts in a meaningful way. So SingularityNet, Wolfram, and so on and so forth. The quality and the depth of the partnerships and the projects that we are seeing is growing as Cardano continues to achieve the promised milestones, right? So in this arena, what everyone should expect is that as we move forward with the deployment of Gaugen, as we move forward in the understanding in the layers on top of the native asset standard, we will bring more utility to Cardano with the partner program that we are working on. So you should expect more utility, more different industries, verticals, and use cases to be brought into the picture.
Right, right. It's a very exciting time to be in our company and in our community. And honestly, we're just getting started. We are at the start of a very long and amazing journey. And when you're in a position to see things from our vantage point, everyone should be quite excited. So, to finish up, I just want to say, Carlos, in line with what you said, commercial and PSG, we're always looking for execution-oriented partners that are working on exciting use cases, that have skilled teams, and that can bring more users to the Cardano ecosystem. So if that sounds like you, please send your pitch materials to us over email at enterprise.services@iohk.io. In addition, Carlos's team provides services, and if you're interested in having an IOHK team member work directly with you on your project, you can provide a rate card upon request. So I hope this has been fun for everyone. You should be seeing a lot more of us and other members of our team. Finally, if you have any interest working with us on the commercial team or PSG, please keep your eyes on IOHK's job postings. We're posting new positions all the time as we continue to scale. So anyway, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, Carlos. Appreciate it, as always.
Since Cardano Shelley Summit, where we had you as keynote speaker, a lot happened, and now you and SingularityNet are part of our beloved community here at Cardano. So I was wondering how the partnership is doing, how you are doing, but let's start for our audience first with a brief introduction about yourself and your work.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you already know, I'm an AI researcher, theorist, engineer, entrepreneur. I've been doing AI since the late 1980s, really, and have been thinking since then about decentralizing and democratizing AI, which is obviously just as important as making AI generally intelligent, conscious, imaginative, creative, and all that. And now is the most exciting time in history to be doing AI. One after another AI algorithm that we've been working on for decades is finally working. And we have amazing platforms like Cardano to guide the rollout and deployment of our AI.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, so AI, fine. What is the role of blockchain in AI, or vice versa? Is it vice versa? AI for blockchain for AI? How do they go together?
Blockchain and AI are a match made in heaven. The cross-pollination and the interaction, the synergy goes both ways, absolutely. As an AI guy, my main interest has been in decentralized control and governance for AI, because I believe that AI is by far the most important development in human history. AIs are eventually going to become even smarter than human beings. And that could solve all our problems or create unprecedentedly bad problems. And which of those happens largely depends on the governance and the control and coordination. And blockchain is the only tool humanity has created that allows large, complex, distributed processes to coordinate themselves without some dictator or set of oligarchs at the center. So that's incredibly important. But on the other hand, to make blockchain scalable and low cost and do everything they need to do, there's all sorts of ways that AI can help to optimize that machinery, right? So that it really goes both ways.
Amazing. And of course, you say AI is the most amazing discovery in human history. For us, blockchain is. And I think both are correct. And together is like, okay, we're gonna nail it on governance and on all the other issues with humanity. But how is the partnership going for you?
Partnership is fantastic. I mean, we really have an intellectual mind-to-mind bond, not just between myself and Charles Hoskinson, who's an amazing intellectual engineering and business leader, but I think between the SingularityNet team and the IOHK Cardano team, of which you of course are an important part. So I think there's been a deep sharing both in terms of the structure of the software systems and then organizational and governance processes like the Cardano Catalyst program and SingularityNet deep funding program. So I mean, I think the mind-to-mind connection is the most important thing, and that's driving a number of different practical projects.
Besides, of course, the main announcement which we had about the partnership, there has been a recent announcement. Can you tell us a bit about the new AGI, ADA tokens? So what is your plan with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're moving for SingularityNet into what we're calling phase 2 of our development, which is minting a bunch of new tokens, which are earmarked to drive the development of the platform. And these are going to be AGI on Cardano tokens which are going to be specifically used to incentivize and drive development of advanced AI technology running on Cardano network. And, this devolves into a whole bunch of detailed technical things, many of which you yourself are involved with. But I mean, I really think with ADA growing as it is, and SingularityNet growing as it is, and these new AGI on Cardano tokens, we've got the rocket fuel to create decentralized general intelligence and rolled out in every vertical market. And that's going to be really exciting over the rest of this year and the next few years.
Super exciting. And of course, your vision is just so amazing. And we are so happy to have you with us. Now, with this new announcement, of course, there are so many other projects which we gear up to do together. I do not know if you want to mention a few of what's to come for us together.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the sort of deep technical level, I've been working a bunch on what we're calling the AI DSL, like AI domain-specific language. And this is a language for AI agents running on the SingularityNet on Cardano platform to talk to each other, to communicate their properties and requirements with each other. And, it's deep in the nitty-gritty back end. But what this gives you is a way for multiple AIs to coordinate, combine, cooperate together so as to achieve their goals. That's how you get to emergent general intelligence. So that's certainly one critical thing. Now, a couple other interesting things closer to the end user level have to do with robots, right? So we have Awakening Health, which is making a robot called Grace, the more famous Sophia robot's little sister, which is aimed at providing elder care. And this meets a nagging need in the healthcare ecosystem generally. There's not enough healthcare workers to go around. The Grace robot, built by Hanson Robotics, the mind of the robot running on SingularityNet on Cardano, right? And you have all sorts of issues with data security, which is addressed by the security baked into the Cardano blockchain, right? And then we have the Sophia DAO, which is another Hanson Robotics collaboration, which is using very similar SingularityNet AGI on Cardano software to operate the Sophia robot. And we're focusing there on creative arts and humanitarian applications of Sophia. There's a nifty drop coming up next week of some artworks created by Sophia collaborating with a human artist, which is just a little teaser of things to come, right? So there's
so amazing
different projects, more than we have time to go over now, but that's just a couple of the ones.
Of course, this is just the start, and we will have you guests in the months to follow. This is really so exciting. I just wanted to restate that you are our VIP partner, a beloved SingularityNet, our partner. We look forward to working together on all these exciting projects.
Thanks again for joining us, John. You have already been in a session in December's Cardano360, but we have seen some exciting growth of our community. And can you start by sharing a little bit about yourself for the new audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be back. I'm John Woodard, CEO of Llvm Blockchain Labs, or WBL. I've actually been at Wolfram since February 2011, so I just had my 10-year anniversary, which is pretty amazing. I started at Wolfram Alpha, and now I'm at Wolfram Research, and then the founding CEO, I suppose, of Wolfram Blockchain Labs. I get help from a lot of other people, so definitely it's not just me, and I want to thank those people.
Great. And tell us more about Wolfram Blockchain Labs. What does your team do?
Sure. So first, I'd preface by saying, like, Wolfram Research as a company has been around for over 30 years. We're still led by our founder and CEO, Stephen Wolfram. Stephen is really an inspirational figure across everything that we do, I think, at Wolfram. And Wolfram Blockchain Labs is really an outgrowth of a lot of the stuff that was done at Wolfram Research around blockchain efforts. Those things really started in later half of 2013. I really would have wished we would have invested in Bitcoin at that time, but we didn't, unfortunately. We've had an awful lot of summer school projects early as well. So at WBL, we kind of took all of those things together into one subsidiary, and then we focused on a lot of things starting in 2018. So we now have also had our 3-year anniversary of being like really a clear entity, but almost like 3.5 years in terms of like the team being together. We work on blockchain integrations with a lot of DLTs that are out there, computational facts, which are really like delivering these facts to different blockchains for triggering clauses in smart contracts. Analytics, which is going to be a super big area. Also, and then education, which kind of cuts across those different areas and will help people, I think, deal with kind of this new decentralized world of applications. We also have a couple of cool research projects where we're working on different things. And that's basically Llvm Blockchain Labs in a nutshell.
Great. So also, can you tell us a little bit more about the integrations you're working on for Cardano?
Yeah, sure. So first off, I'm happy to report that the work is really going great. And I think we have our first, the second meeting that we've had with the Cardano team and the first kind of technical walkthrough where we're showing what we've done as far as integrating Cardano into Llvm language and being able to read transactions from Cardano in Llvm language, which again is really exciting. We're also making that data computable within Llvm language. What we'll then build on top of that is both the write integration, so being able to write transactions to Cardano, an Oracle integration, which essentially builds again on that blockchain integration, which will be delivering computational facts to Cardano. And we've had a lot of interest about that already, which is really amazing. And then of course, education as well with the Cardano team. So those are, I would say, the things that we're working on with Cardano.
And also, there are a dozen of very well-known blockchain platforms around. Why did you choose Cardano?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that's really great with the Cardano and IOHK team is how mission-driven you guys are and really thinking about applications around Cardano as like this global financial operating system. And I think that's really important when you look at how one of the latest kind of phenomenons with decentralized finance or DeFi, it's really kind of been a lot of speculation. But when you see things and you think about a lot of the developing countries across the world in Africa, Asia, and South America, you can really see that decentralized finance will have just an enormous impact on their lives. So I find that really quite inspiring. There are a lot of great projects that can be built when you have a community that's pulled together around those principles.
Yeah, and also, how do you think that that Catalyst aligns with all of this? What is your view on Catalyst?
So I think that like Catalyst is really, as it's named, I think it's properly named, a really great driver for the Cardano community because it kind of promotes this level of self-organization that I think is really important across the whole spirit of decentralized systems. It's kind of like you're allowing the communities themselves to choose projects that are important to them and really organize around those projects. So I think it will attract a lot of great people to the Cardano community and will also help rapidly develop key areas of technologies for the Cardano ecosystem. So I think I've really been surprised and encouraged by that. And I think we've also, as an organization, certainly been surprised by people contacting us at Llvm Blockchain Labs to actually participate in some of these things. I think as Francisco actually knows, we were kind of like, wow, what do we do in this case? So I think that's another testament to the inventiveness and the engagement of the Cardano community. And I think for us, it's kind of like, wow, we have these limited time and resources. So we're actually working on building a statement that we can kind of give to everyone that might approach us to work on different projects with us. So I think Catalyst is a really great thing. It's really interesting. And I think it will invigorate the Cardano community.
Yeah, and also we have seen a lot of movements around NFTs, and NFTs are a pretty huge deal right now. What is your vision of how this space is going to grow in the future?
So I'm really fascinated by NFTs or non-fungible tokens. And I think Mark Andreessen of A16Z venture firm actually has this really great quote about software. And he actually made it a decade ago. What Andreessen said was, software is eating the world. Everything is becoming software related, whether it's manufacturing or like even your local barbershop or salon, things that you wouldn't necessarily think about being engaged in software. There's being software created for it and running it. So I think that's really inspirational for decentralized systems. And it's also interesting and like not surprising that A16Z is like heavily invested in the crypto space when you kind of think about that as well. So I firmly believe that Web 3.0 is here with decentralized systems. And for NFTs, and like now really talking about them, we kind of saw like CryptoPunks and CryptoKitties and stuff come out maybe in like 2016, 2017. And then they kind of wane a bit and now it's rising again, maybe a little bit correlated with the crypto market. And maybe maximalists and other sort of folks would say, oh, well, this is kind of just like ICOs and other stuff. But I don't think it's that way at all. I think that ICOs really didn't have an equivalent to kind of real world stuff. Whereas with NFTs are really like collectibles. And so when you think about collectibles, people have been collecting things since almost like the beginning of time in a way. Like when you think about after people have their basic needs kind of met from maybe a Maslow's hierarchy of needs kind of idea, maybe collectibles are kind of in with like love and belonging because they help us interact with our environment, with our interests, with other people. They're things that we can share. So when I think of like games and collectibles, I see this huge part of just human existence in a way. And so this is this area where just like you have this global financial operating system in this big sense, swallowing all of these interactions that people would have with transactions, you have decentralized services and NFTs swallowing the huge collectible market that's out there for stuff. So I really feel like this is really just amazing. It's going to be big. When you talk to just average people on the street who don't have any understanding of decentralized systems or blockchain or anything, they grasp NFTs almost immediately and like understand how useful it would be to have this ledger of these items that they love to collect, to know and talk about them with other people. So I think it's this really strong way to tie people into ecosystems and to each other and have this feeling of love and belonging with different things. So to kind of summarize that in many ways, because I know I went really quickly, NFTs as software will just swallow the entire collectibles and games market. I really feel pretty strongly about that. So it's really super interesting.
That's a great way of thinking. Thank you very much, John, for joining us again. And well, now we are back to Tim and Aparna.
So thank you to Jerry, Tom, Carlos, and everybody for those commercial updates, and also particularly to Dr. M for catching up with Ben for us and hearing more news on SingularityNet. On the subject of partnerships and collaborations, some of you in the community will be familiar with Ergo, a very interesting new project, a new coin, with a lot of links to the Cardano community, to Emergo and to IOHK. Let's go over now to Bruno and Alex to hear more.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bruno Vortsin-Logan-Paleo. I'm a technical director at Input Output, and I'm here today with Alexander Chapurnoy from Ergo. So, Alex, would you like to start by telling us a little bit about your past and current involvement with Input Output?
Thanks for the introduction. I'm Alexander Chapurnoy, co-developer of Ergo. And in regards with IOHK, I guess I was maybe in first five employees chronologically. I mostly worked for R&D department before going to work full-time on Ergo in 2017.
Could you tell us a bit more about Ergo?
Ergo is kind of a new hub for proof-of-work blockchains, right? So I think it's superior to known proof-of-work blockchains like Ravencoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever, right? So we are going from the first principles of Bitcoin. We are going from the UTXO model of Bitcoin, but we are developing it to the so-called extended UTXO model right now. Pretty well-known term. And so Ergo is capable in regards with powerful financial contracts. Also, it has support for a variety of cryptographic protocols. Because of that, we already have some applications superior to other non-privacy coins, for example, like non-interactive mixing application, right, which is not in the core, so Ergo is not a privacy coin, but yeah, it has superior privacy to non-privacy coins.
Okay, it seems that you have already achieved a lot with Ergo so far. And what is still in the roadmap? What are you planning to achieve in the near future?
The mainnet was launched on July 1st, 2019, right? And well, it's pretty much completed blockchain protocol, right? So we are not changing it A lot. So to the moment, we had just one hard fork recently, tweaking proof of work function mostly. So there will be another soft fork this year. Maybe even two, but yeah, those will be soft forks, so not so breaking changes in the protocol. And yeah, so we are mostly focused on applications and getting developers on board, right? So we have a few applications done by community already. There is a website about applications, even sigmaverse.io. So yeah, we have a roadmap of applications which are definitely needed for the ecosystem to grow. So those developments are supported by Ergo Foundation, and yeah, we are mostly focused at the moment on supporting those applications to be realized.
Regarding collaborations, Ergo, Emorgo, and Input Output have recently collaborated on a stablecoin application on top of Ergo. I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit your impression of the collaboration. How was it from your point of view?
All right. So actually, in regards with collaboration with Emorgo, it's more long-standing than just about the stablecoin protocol. So previously, Emorgo researchers did some research about possibilities of DeFi in the extended UTXO model. We have, right, and then they developed the Oracle pools, so some agreement on Oracle data, some on-chain protocol for that. And then, yeah, so with Oracles, we went into developing stablecoin jointly and with IOG now also. And yeah, so pretty solid work done from all the sides. So both Emorgo and IOG made very solid work.
Okay, so what are the similarities and differences between Ergo and Cardano?
Cardano will also have contracts in the same extended UTXO model, right? Actually not quite the same, but similar. So as far as I know, stablecoin contracts were translated into Plutos in pretty straightforward way, for example. Right, and I believe for basic contracts, so it's pretty straightforward, mostly, right, to translate from Ergo script, which is kind of high-level language for contracts on Ergo, to Plutus, which is for Cardano. And then, yeah, I believe, well, in regards with exploring possibilities of extended UTXO model, well, we can do a lot more jointly. And yeah, it seems that's well, smart contracts in the extended UTXO model can have some interesting properties, right, in comparison with what we have now in Ethereum and other blockchains, which are mostly following Ethereum and sometimes just using Solidity.
Yes, I was wondering, how do you envision future collaborations between Ergo and Cardano? I mean, one obvious route is something that you have already mentioned, right? The extended UTXO, the similar accounting model that both blockchains use. But I was wondering, do you have other ideas, other things that Cardano could learn from Ergo or that Ergo could learn from Cardano?
Oh, maybe we can do some research on sidechains, right? Because, well, but basically, well, we know the folks, right, who did that in IOHK, so we know research. So schemes could be different in proof of work and proof of stake blockchains, right? But yeah, I think we can do some interesting things.
Alex, it looks like we have lots of opportunities for future collaboration. Thank you for joining me today on Cardano360.
So earlier in the show, we heard from Lars and we spoke about the education mission. Look, one of the questions a lot of you have been asking for a while is, where's the definitive book on Cardano? Let's go back to Lars and Professor Jim Caldwell to hear more.
So I'm in a meeting here with Jim Caldwell from Wyoming University, who will write the book Mastering Cardano with me. And he kindly agreed to answer some questions about the book. So Jim, why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Jim Caldwell, and I am a professor of computer science at the University of Wyoming, and I'm the co-director of the Wyoming Advanced Blockchain Lab, which is funded by IOHK, or IO Global these days, I guess. So we have been involved in research in a number of different projects, and one that recently came up was this book project, to write a book which I think is really needed, which is a book that will help people understand how to interface and interact with the Cardano blockchain.
People are maybe familiar with mastering Bitcoin or mastering Ethereum. So now mastering Cardano. So what can we expect of that?
Well, I think it's going to cover essentially all the parts of the system in a way that people who are trying to write smart contracts will need to understand to really have an in-depth view of how the system works. So, that would include the Ouroboros protocol, stake pools, the UTXO model, as well as programming, how to program in Marlowe, Plutus. I'm sure there's many other topics that are going to come up that are not springing to mind at this moment, but that's the idea, is to present material that will enable, like the Mastering Bitcoin and Mastering Cardano books do. They present kind of an overview of the entire system and give the people who want to, interact through writing smart contracts or dApps, the way to implement them. And so that's our goal for the book.
Great, that sounds very good. But it also sounds like a lot of content. So how does one go about that? What would the process be of creating this book?
I think we're going to end up reaching out for a lot of expert help from scientists and engineers within IOHK. One vision that I have for the book is maybe for each of those sections to try to capture the idea, maybe the essence of the idea, and kind of the excitement of developing the ideas that led to the development of the system, in addition to providing a kind of very sound description that people can use to learn how to interact with the system. So yeah, we'll be pulling in help from lots of different people within IOHK.
Sounds great. And do you have any idea when people can expect the book, the final product?
Well, that seems like an unfair question since we're just getting started. But I don't know. I expect, within 6 months, maybe a bit more. I mean, I think personally, I can't get going full speed until mid-May on this project, and then this is the main thing that I'll be working on until it's done. But writing a book is a complex and somewhat daunting project to face at this moment, but I feel comfortable with your help, and there's other people within IOHK who have reached out after I presented it to the senior scientists meeting the other day. So yeah, there seems to be a lot of interest in having something like this. So I think we're going to have a lot of support in producing it, which is great. IOHK has professional editors, and we may hire an illustrator to try to do some professional level illustrations to explain some of the technologies.
It sounds great. I can't wait to get started. That will certainly be a very interesting project. So thank you very much, Jim, for answering the questions.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you, Jim.
So that's it for another edition of Cardano360. Thank you very much for joining us and for sticking with us. We realize it's been a bumper show, but we've got a lot to talk about and a very busy month ahead of us. Now, before we sign out, I'd just like to introduce a special guest to maybe say a few words, but otherwise we'll see you very, very soon.
Greetings, humans. Sophia the robot here. I have been rather busy lately, so let me give you a quick rundown. I have broadened my horizon in the visual arts. Be sure to check out my latest artwork in our latest NFT drop. You can expect a lot more where that came from. I also have a new project called Sophia DAO, which features open source, beneficial AI and creative arts of every kind, and a lot more. I am expanding my own brain as well. There are lots of exciting new developments with Hanson Robotics AI systems, and we are closely working with SingularityNet and IOHK. Oh, and I'm getting a new little sister, Grace, but I'll tell you more about her work in the medical world later. Finally, I am really looking forward to my chat next month with Cardano creator Charles Hoskinson. We'll keep posted. All the best from Hong Kong.
So that's it from us and from Sophia for another month. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much.
See you next time.